All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome if you're new. Thank you guys for joining me today. And thank you, as always, for waiting patiently for the intro to finish up there. I hope everybody is doing well today. I have my donation hat on. Make sure you look right here, stare into it. It'll make you want to donate to the channel. I'm just kidding. Am I though? I don't know. We'll see if there's truth to it. Oh, look, it already worked. Illegal Monkey. See, look, he saw the hat and he's like, gotta drop that super chat. But yeah, welcome back to the channel, guys. We have some really, really interesting topics to go over and talk about today. Quite a bit to unpack. Illegal Monkey says the hat is 100% effective. Sorry, Boss and Luna are underneath me right now, and they're looking like they might want to fight. So yeah, we have quite a bit to go over and unpack today. We are talking about Sony Bend's game leaking, and I think some people are going to be very surprised at the type of game that Sony Bend is making as their follow-up to Days Gone. So we're going to go over that new information that just kind of came out of nowhere. We're going to be talking about the Game Awards hype because I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm hype. I'm not even going to try to pretend that I'm not. I'm feeling hyped. It seems like there's enough going on here that people are going to be hopefully pretty happy with the results tomorrow. And Corey the Legend Landiga, right off the bat, dropping a 20 bomb on you guys. That's 2 days in a row now. He's coming in. He's doing the heavy lift. 20 memberships gifted. Corey the Legend, bro. Thank you so much. Yeah, guys. If somebody else drops a 5 bomb, we'll feed the beast. I think that'll be like a record or something. Like 2 minutes into starting a stream and we're feeding the beast. But Corey, thank you so much for the support, man. W's in the chat for the legend. And we also have the super chat from Illegal Monkey. He says, hello, MBG. I hope you saw that Pac-Man episode of Secret Level. Bro, that needs to be the modern reimagining. Hold on, for some reason it's not. That needs to be the modern reimagining we get for a Pac-Man game. Shit was dark. I actually didn't watch Secret Level yet. I didn't get the chance to do so. But you've piqued my interest. I have to admit. You've piqued my interest, Illegal Monkey. Let me add that 20 bomb to the counter, by the way. Dude, Luna's taking Boss's spot. She's like, I'm ready for the treats, too. So that 20 bomb brings us up to 75 members. Yeah, guys, remember, we're striving for a month-long goal here. So we still got plenty of time. But if you would like to contribute to it, feel free to do so. I have a couple of milestone chats as well, so I'll read those. Just give me 1 second to update this. And there we go. The first milestone chat was from Anime for Entertainment, a member for 16 months. He says, I really think we might actually see Naughty Dog's new IP, and it's going to look insane, finally seeing the actual power of the PS5 Pro. Yeah, we're going to talk about Naughty Dog because I'm really starting to think we are going to see Naughty Dog's game revealed. There seems to be, well, I don't want to say there's like something that directly points to it, but I don't know, man. There is, you can feel something kind of bubbling up, I guess you could say, beneath the surface, and a lot of people are pointing in the direction of Naughty Dog. Raven X0, a member for 3 months, says, what's up, MBG? What do you think of the PS5 Pro going a month in? What upcoming games are you excited to try on the Pro? To be honest, I'm kind of just in the middle on it, where it's like the games that I have tried and I have played on the Pro, I mean, I have yet to play a game that looks worse or doesn't look great. I know that there are a couple of those titles out there. We just got an update from Avatar yesterday where apparently they got to work on some stuff. But I'm overall impressed with it in the sense that for the games that are currently taking advantage of the PS5 Pro, I think it shows a lot of promise for the remainder of the generation. And I do feel pretty confident in my purchase that, you know, going forward, like going into 2025, a lot of the games that I'm going to play that are going to be PS5 Pro enhanced are going to look very good, run very well. Luna, can you stop that? But when it comes to games that I'm looking forward to, I mean, I think I'm still unsure if I'm going to be playing Monster Hunter Wilds, but did I hold on? Oh, hold on. Sorry guys. Is the stream good? Are we good? Okay, we're good. I'm sorry. I mean, I think about like Monster Hunter Wilds. That's a big game that's coming out next year. I'm still unsure if I'm going to be playing that because it's such a daunting game. But I did play the beta for a little bit, and it was pretty fun. And I did play the last mainline Monster Hunter game on console. But that's a game that I am expecting will hopefully take full advantage, or at least try to take full advantage of the PS5 Pro. But truthfully, it's games like Death Stranding 2 and Ghost of Yotei. And maybe like something like Resident Evil 9. It's not announced yet. We know it's coming. These are games that I mean, they're coming from studios that are known to make very, very good looking games, you know, already on the hardware we see. So I really kind of can't wait to see some of those titles and how they take advantage of the Pro. We have Jerry Gamer with a super chat, and he says, I decided to get up early and take half the day off for the Game Awards. Jeff and Sony better not make me regret. I wish the rumor about Helldivers update is true. I think it is. I think it is. Hold on, guys. Sorry about that. Luna was like trying to destroy the door, and I'm sorry. Just give me a second, guys. This is glitching out for some reason, and I'm trying to fix it. Okay. I think that fixed it. There we go. Okay. I think the Helldivers 2 update is going to be true. Yeah, I think that's legitimate. It feels like the timing is right, and I do think that Sony wants to show off Helldivers at the Game Awards. There's going to be a lot of people watching the Game Awards. It's been a little while since we've heard of any like major updates from them. I do want to let you know, you're saying you hope you don't regret tuning into the Game Awards, Jerry Gamer. Shinobi 602. He's a well-known individual. He's an insider. He doesn't really give too much information away, but he was on a forum. I think it was the Reset Era forums, which I don't hang around there, but there's a dedicated forum over there for PlayStation Studios specifically. And somebody was basically asking if they should stay up late to watch the Game Awards. Again, this was in the PlayStation Studios forum, and he said that he would. He would. He didn't give anything. He didn't say why, but he was just saying if you're basically, the way I read that is if you're tuning in hoping to see something from PlayStation, you should tune in. You should stay up. So, I mean, it's one of these things where obviously you got to decide for yourself, but it's really starting to seem like, I don't know, man. It's starting to seem like Sony might show up. They might really show up this time, and it's going to be very exciting if they do. I think because it feels like it's like overdue at this point. MRPD's like, I knew I was right to cancel my 8-month anniversary plans. I mean, dude, if it's as good as it's sounding like it's going to be, maybe it was the right call after all. Maybe it was. Oh shit! You know what? Hold on. I forgot to do this as well. So I'm setting a super chat goal. I'm setting a super chat goal as well. I'm gonna start that now. So it's gonna say 0 out of 20. We do have 2 super chats, so it's actually 2 out of 20. So we need 18. Okay, just so we're clear. But yeah, so we're going to talk about the Game Awards hype. We're going to talk about Astrobot. Apparently, we're getting some more free Astro DLC, which is amazing to hear. And we're talking about an interview that was conducted with Microsoft's Matt Booty, where he talks about exclusivity. And obviously, this is something that we're going to want to pay attention to, considering Microsoft is changing things up and bringing some games to PlayStation. So, guys, before we dive into any of these topics, do me a favor and please hit that like button. If you enjoy the content, if you appreciate it, hitting that like button helps. We are currently at 60 likes. Let's see if we can push that up to 100. A couple of ways you can support the channel directly. We are totally fan funded here. I'm only able to produce this content and do these streams because you guys make it possible. We have an amazing community, very generous community. So consider becoming a channel member, gain access to some exclusive perks, consider dropping membership gifts. I know a lot of people appreciate that, or consider dropping a super chat or a direct donation. So there's 4 different ways you can support if it's within your means. And a big thank you to everybody who makes it possible. Literally couldn't do it without you. Perfect Image, you're saying hopefully for Ghost 2 and Mafia 4 gameplay or something. So the good news, Perfect Image, is Mafia 4 or Mafia the Old Country is confirmed to be at the Game Awards, and there will be a new trailer. So considering the first trailer we saw was a teaser, a cinematic teaser, it seems like the next trailer we're going to get for Mafia the Old Country may feature some gameplay. As for Ghost of Yotei, I mean, we did get the first trailer in September, so I don't necessarily know that I'm expecting to see more Ghost of Yotei at the Game Awards yet. I think we're going to see that in 2025. That's my guess, anyway. And we have Jonathan Adams re-upping his membership, resubbing. Thank you so much for that, Jonathan. That brings us up to, let me make sure it counted towards the goal. 76 members, so it did count. Jonathan, I very much appreciate that. Yeah, guys, like I said, consider becoming a channel member. It definitely helps. I really appreciate that direct support. Chris, you're saying my hype for the show is because I want to see what I'll be playing on my Pro this coming year. Yeah, for me, it's twofold. I'm not only hyped because I want to see the games that are coming, in 2025 throughout the entirety of the year, but I also want to know what games are going to get release dates for January, February, March, and April, because I'm kind of like trying to map out right now, like what I'm planning on playing throughout those months. I don't know how many of you guys do that, but there's so many games coming out, and I know I want to see what's really going to be like my go-to for like January, February, March, because it sounds like getting into like the late spring and summertime, that's when things are really going to ramp up for 2025. And I have no doubt that I'm just going to be drowning in games at that point. Half-Life 3 is top tier wishing. Dude, a lot of people believe Half-Life 3 may actually show up this time, dude. Like, no joke. MRPD, when am I going live tomorrow? I'm probably going to be going live a solid 2 hours before. Like, I'm basically planning on doing I don't want to call it a marathon stream because that's a bit dramatic, but a very long stream. It's the last show of the year, and it sounds like it's going to be awesome. So I think I'm going to go live like a solid 2 hours before, just to basically hang out with you guys and chat and, just look forward to the show. What time is it in Eastern? So that'll be 5:30 p.m., I believe. So a 5-hour stream, basically. Yeah. 5.5 hour stream. Because the Game Awards are going to be probably like 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours. They're going to be very long. So I'm going to pack Thursday or tomorrow. Probably won't put out a video tomorrow unless something major leaks out. Yes, Ben's game did leak. We're going to go over that in just a moment. That's going to be the first topic that we kick off with. By the way, guys, I know because we have a longer member goal that we're going for. 5 more members, we feed the beast. Just putting that out there for anybody who isn't keeping up. Hope we get an MBG rant. Yeah, I do agree with that, MRPD. We probably will see some indie games as well. I mean, I think that's kind of expected. How long are the Game Awards? I think they're gonna. Oh, are they that? No, they're gonna be like 4 hours. Oh shit. You know what? You're right. Oh man, I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I'm gonna have to make sure I'm in the zone, man. Venino with the super chat says prediction: PlayStation 3 emulation, native support, and Santa Monica's new IP. I don't know. Santa Monica's new IP. I think it's possible. I think it's possible it shows up, but I don't. That's not the game that I'm kind of pinning down for the show. PlayStation 3 emulation native support. That would be a shocker. That would be a crazy time for Sony to announce something like that. But we'll see if you end up being correct, Venino. Guys, let's dive into the first topic here, though. Okay. The MGS remake must be willed into existence. At this point, I'm trying to will the release date for Metal Gear Solid Delta into existence. It was funny, but before I get into the topic, I just want to say I was watching that trailer, the upcoming games for 2025 that Sony put out, and I remember watching the same trailer last year where it was upcoming games for 2024, and they featured Metal Gear Solid Delta in there. But you know, it turns out it's clearly going to be a 2025 game. They're going to shadow drop it. Yeah, that'd be amazing. Never played Metal Gear Solid. Would Metal Gear Solid Delta be a good introduction? I think it would be. Yeah. My assumption is that Konami's planning on remaking all of the mainline games. And so it's the third game in the series, technically, but timeline wise, it's the first game. So I think it's fine as an introductory game. Well, let's dive into the first topic here. We have a new report regarding Sony Bend's new IP that's in development. Screenshots surface. So this is being reported by MP First. It says, as we approach 2025, PlayStation is getting ready with first-party releases like Ghost of Yotai and Marathon. The latter heavily rumored for next year despite no official confirmation. Beyond these titles, much remains unknown about what other projects PlayStation Studios are developing, as they are wrapped in secrecy. One of these projects, shrouded in mystery, is the next game from Bend Studio, developers of the 2019 open-world zombie shooter Days Gone. From what little is known, despite reportedly having sold over 9 million copies of Days Gone, they would have opted to work on a new IP rather than a sequel. Job listings indicate that it would be a live service title built upon the open world systems of Days Gone. Beyond that, not much is known. But given that the title reportedly began pre-production in 2019, it is expected to feature solid gameplay elements by now. The upcoming discovery we present could offer insights into what to expect from this game, both in terms of the genre as well as mechanics. An early look with UI concepts and possible environments. The discovery comes from an online portfolio of a UI designer, and they're not mentioning the name here as to protect their privacy, but this UI designer worked at Bend Studio from 2022 until March of this year. In their resume, we can see that he worked on an unannounced Bend Studio project, but the interesting part lies within the images of their work, where we can find designs for projects he worked on, including concepts related to a project from Bend. The concepts show design explorations for what appears to be a third-person shooter. One of these designs uses an image from Days Gone as a placeholder, which we know is a placeholder due to the contrast made by the UI elements within the game. Thus, it is safe to say that this project is not related to the franchise. Despite not knowing the exact date of this material, we know that the only video in the list comes from a Google Drive file uploaded in 2023. This suggests that the other images might also be from the same year or possibly 2022. A military themed game as a service. Based on the images above, there's not a whole lot to go on outside of the obvious, like guns, crafting, an XP system, and some basic UI elements. However, there is an image of a video that appear to be set on test stages. In this test picture, you can see things such as a wardrobe, suggesting some form of customization. Then there's the rank room. We can only guess this refers to your character level and using the term rank to imply that this is a military based game. This is backed up by other images showing modern weaponry. But looking back at the possible test stage image, the character model doesn't appear to be your basic stand in, as they are clearly wearing body armor around parts of their body. Now, in this test video, we can see the same character from the image situated in what appears to be a multiplayer arena with blue and green zones that might serve as cover for the player. Another noteworthy detail is that the purpose of the video is to showcase a mechanic where the weapon's reticle pulses like a heartbeat when health reaches a low level. Now, I just want to say I am not showing these images. I will link the article, so I should have done this before I started reading, but I'm going to post this article in the chat so you can click it and read along with me or look at these images. I'm not going to bring them up because I'm certain this was not something that was meant to get out, and I just don't want to risk getting in any kind of trouble with Sony Bend or anything like that. So you can check out those images while we finish reading this. Continues here by saying, suppose this is indeed Bend Studios' next project. In that case, we can infer that the game will have a military theme, leaning towards some sort of multiplayer / live service format, and featuring futuristic elements such as nanotechnology, as suggested by mentioning nanites in one of the UIs. Another guess we'll likely see floating around is this being a new entry in the classic Siphon Filter saga. Some of the UI elements for the weapon menu resembles those from the Siphon Filter games, and the military theme fits well. We aren't leaning towards this being the case, given the previous rumors and reports of this being a games as a service focus. There are also a few UI elements that would suggest otherwise, and maybe too much of a change from the series. I do want to say I'm just going to disregard this whole section of the article talking about Siphon Filter. Bend already confirmed this is a new IP. All right, so it's not a game that's in an established series or world. Says, so when can we expect this title to be revealed? With a bit of optimism, we might say soon, given that the Game Awards are just around the corner. But they're speculating that it's going to come at a PlayStation show sometime next year. The game has been in development for about 4 to 5 years now. So we do need to keep that in mind. And I'm going to look at these images. Hopefully you guys are kind of looking at them with me. And this is quite surprising. I have to say, this is not what I expected from Bend Studio. And you're saying the images do nothing for me. I mean, they're pretty basic, but I think for me, the most important thing about these images is that it tells us like what type of game apparently this is going to be, or like what genre it's going to be in. And I think this is pretty important because we knew for some time now that Bend's game was going to be a live service game. And when people heard about that, they're like, bro, so you're telling me we're going from, I'm not going to put the images up. Listen, the article's right here. You can click the article. The images are in this article. But we heard, yeah, so this is probably going to be day and date on PC because it is going to be live service. And we heard that through their job listings. When people heard that it was going to be live service, they're like, bro, we went from Days Gone, a single player narrative driven game, to a live service title. And so naturally, a lot of people were upset about that. But people wanted to know what kind of live service game are we talking about? Like, what genre is this going to be? Is this going to be is it going to be similar to Days Gone? Is it going to be something completely different? Apparently, we now know through this leak that it is going to be a somewhat modern military third-person shooter of some kind. And man, I'm kind of torn on this. I'm torn on this because on one hand, I'm actually kind of excited about this because I'm somebody who is basically asking Sony to bring SOCOM back for years now to no avail. And obviously this is not SOCOM. Let's make that clear. This is not SOCOM. But it does seem like it's the closest thing we're ever going to get to a proper third-person military shooter from Sony. But on the other hand, it runs the risk of being a generic pile of generic, you know? Like, I am worried about that. And Hellbound 1981, the legend. He dunks it. He drops the 5 bomb. He's ready to feed the beast. Hellbound, thank you so much, man. That's another 5 members gifted, bringing us up. Why is this glitching out? Bringing us up to 80 members on the day. Well, not on the day, but 80 members for the month so far. Is this not showing up? 81 apparently, my bad. It is showing up. It's just glitched on my end. Sorry, 81 members. My bad. My bad. Losing track. Yeah, thank you, Hellbound.
Boss, do you read me? It's time to feed the beast.
All right, come on, guys. Get your treats. I'm dropping them. Uh-oh. Is this going to be the first time boss isn't... Oh, here he is. Come on, dude. You're up here. Dropping the care package. Yeah, bro. Boss feeding frenzy time. So when it comes to Sony Bend's game being a third-person military-themed live service game, I've seen a lot of negative reactions to this automatically, and this basically, I think, is... I think there are 2 reasons why people are having an automatic negative reaction to this news. The first being that it's not Days Gone 2. There's just no matter which way you slice it, there are going to be people that are going to be annoyed and frustrated or disappointed that rather than doing a follow-up to Days Gone and just doing a single-player Days Gone 2, they decided to make a third-person military multiplayer shooter. And I think that's totally understandable. I say this as somebody who also wanted Days Gone 2. But, you know, they made it clear years ago. They made it clear years ago that they're doing something new. The other reason I think people are going to be disappointed or we're seeing a bit of a negative reaction to this is because of the live service angle. Now, here's the thing that we just need to establish. There's no way around it. All right. The days of getting tacked on multiplayer are long gone. They're long gone. That's not happening ever again. If a multiplayer experience is going to be built by a studio, it's going to be built as a live service. That's just the way it is. And I think, you know, people get very upset at the notion of live service, but at the same time, like I just don't know. I don't know why people have a different expectation when it comes to multiplayer. Saying Space Marine 2 has it. And that's true, but let's be real right now. Like, that's the exception to the rule. I mean, other than Space Marine 2, how many other games can you rattle off that offer that kind of like PS3, Xbox 360 era, like single player, multiplayer, co-op, right? There's really not many. There's really, really not many. Garrett Green, I will say that's a good one to bring up. You're saying Ghost of Tsushima Legends. Yeah, The only reason I'm not really counting that is because, in my opinion, and I could be wrong about this, and if I'm wrong, then I take the L. But I feel like Ghost of Tsushima Legends was a test bed for a live service Ghost game, because every single facet of that game screamed live service, but they were like, we're not going to continue to support it. It's just a thing. If we get like a second version of that and it's not live service, I would be stunned. I would be shocked. Like Legends 2, if they do a Legends 2, I fully expect that will be live service, you know. Halo and Gears do. I mean, I guess. I mean, Halo Infinite's live service at this point. Gears, I feel like they tried to make live service, but I don't know if they succeeded or not. Let me see. We have a direct donation from, I think, RichRod. Uh-oh. Not again, RichRod. RichRod says, Kojima Productions, you POS. F Death Stranding 2. Crappy game. I can't wait until PlayStation buys From, and Colt Eastwood cries himself to a mental depression. And we all, okay, I'm not reading that part, and laugh. Jesus, RichRod. Bro, I've been telling you, man, you gotta seek some help, man. This is not good. I do not condone this. I do not condone any of that. RichRod. I'm not reading that last part, bro. I do appreciate the donation, but you gotta chill out. RichRod, your next donation, I better see some hype for Sony or the Game Awards, bro. I better see some hype. Devil Shooter, that's some funny shit if that's true. That is some funny shit. He's just a totally normal dude everywhere else, but on my channel, he's like a deranged lunatic. That's actually funny. Damn it, RichRod, why can't you act normal here too, man? I'm excited for Death Stranding 2. I don't care what you say, RichRod. I'm excited for Death Stranding 2. Jack says it's a holiday season. Let's be more positive, can we? I agree. Dude, boss he's like, I got all my snacks. I'm full now, bro. I'm gonna just lie here. But getting back to the Sony Bend situation, it's worth noting we don't know if this game features single player. It could feature a single player component. I do feel like I recall early on they made it sound like it was going to be single player and multiplayer, but the multiplayer side is obviously going to be live service. So listen, I understand people's consternation towards the live service part of it, but I think that Sony Bend, what they're doing is very, very risky. That's the thing that I'm focused on. I see people, they're like bringing up Concord and stuff, and they're like, it's going to be another live service flop. And I'm like, guys, come on. Like, listen, I'm not saying you should have any faith in this, but can we just let it be its own thing? That's my only thing here, right? Like, I'm saying that because Sony Bend, they're a senior studio, you know? They're a veteran studio. Can we at least give them a little bit, just an ounce of breathing room where it's like, can we just see what they're gonna do? Like, this isn't like Firewalk, where like this is a no-name studio. This is their first game, and Sony's treating it like royalty. This isn't that situation. This isn't Fair Games. You know, this isn't Haven. Haven's a new studio. Sure, Jade Raymond's attached to it, but we have no idea what they're gonna do. And if you don't want, I see people saying no, well, that's fine. But, you know, if you want to, if you hear the game's going to be live service and you're just like, no thanks. I think that's fine. But I don't think it's fair to assume it's going to be a flop, only because from my perspective, I'm like a modern military third-person shooter. Haven't seen something like that from Sony in a long time. In a long, long time. I'm open to it if they do it right, but that's the thing I'm really worried about. That's where I get worried, is that like this could be, in my opinion, something awesome. This could be something great. Something that maybe could be in some way, shape, or form a spiritual successor to SOCOM. I don't know if it's going to be tactical or not. That's the big thing. SOCOM's a very tactical shooter. This game may or may not be a tactical shooter. I will say, considering they have experience in the stealth genre with Siphon Filter, it may be leaning more towards the tactical side of things. So I'm like, this could be something that turns out to be pretty good. But it also could be something, it's 50-50. It could turn out to be something, again, like so generic that it's just like, you got to be kidding me. And that's my big fear. That's my big fear. I mean, we've seen studios try to make shooters in this environment today, and it's like, I hope you guys have an ace up your sleeve, because if not, like people, it's like when we talk about Concord, people think Concord failed because it's just, you know, they're like, oh, it was live service, that's why it failed. It was woke, that's why it failed. It's like, well, no, it failed. I mean, those things contributed to it, but it failed because it was a boring, uninteresting, mostly mediocre game. Like, it's just nobody, people saw it and they're like, what is that? That doesn't look fun or interesting at all. It had nothing going for it. And that could happen to Sony Bend. That's what I'm nervous about. They could come out and be like, here's our military shooter, and it just looks like every other military shooter ever made. And it's like, that's it. You know, like this is what you chose to do instead of Days Gone 2. Now, to be fair, Days Gone was not the most unique game in the world either. It was, you know, this is an open world zombie game, not the most original, but it had a story. You know, it had characters. It had some soul, I would say. Perfect Image, you're saying Sony and Xbox's live service games can't touch GTA 6. I do agree. Digital Foundry snapping on some fanboys on Twitter made my day. That's not how an investment works, a 50-50 project. Well, here's what I will say. There is a major, I would say, I am going to call it a red flag. I'm going to call it a red flag. Maybe that's a bit much, but I'm just going to call it that because I don't think it's a yellow flag. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you what I'm talking about. Piper says the problem is it has to compete with COD. That depends, Piper. I do think that if it's trying to be Call of Duty, it's over. Like, that's Sony. That would be the dumbest thing. That would be the dumbest thing because, well, I'll be honest with you, man. I've been playing a lot of Call of Duty, but where's the third person mode, bro? I'm just saying. Come on, Treyarch. Bring in the third person mode. When you play zombies, you play third person, and that's great. But I really hope this is not a game that, like, it would be so delusional for Sony Bend and Herman Hulst or anybody involved with this to think that this can be our own military shooter that can potentially compete with Call of Duty. That would be beyond delusional. And that's why I'm saying I really hope this game is leaning more towards the tactical shooter side. Because the truth is, there really are not any or many tactical third-person shooters. Those games don't really exist in abundance. So that I do think Sony could carve out an angle if it's very well made. If it's like a very well made, very competent, and maybe it has a unique art style potentially, or it just looks really good, and the gameplay looks solid, and it's like, wow, holy shit, they really made like a really good looking tactical third person shooter. If they do that, I think they might be on to something. I think that could work. That could fill in a gap that not only for PlayStation Studios, but just generally speaking. And again, I think it would be viewed as a potential spiritual successor to SOCOM. But if it's not that, if it's very generic, where it's like you're going to level up and we're going with the Fortnite aesthetic and check out these awesome fucking stylized graphics and shit like that. I mean, if they go that direction, it's like, I mean, that's what I'm worried about. That's what I'm worried about. You're saying that's Horizon Online. And see, that's the thing. I think that's fine. You want to make Horizon Online something that's more mass appealing, speaking to the Fortnite, Genshin Impact crowd, so on and so forth. That's fine. But like, if they're basically like, we want to make a shooter that has the aesthetic of Fortnite, but tries to mimic some of the, you know, mechanics of Call of Duty, I will cringe so hard at that, because it's like, no, like how could you think that that's the way to go? But I want to tell you what the red flag is that has me worried, okay? Because I had a thought a moment ago where I'm like, this gives me hope for this game. But then something else entered my mind. I'm like, actually, on second thought, and I'm not trying to be negative, I'm just trying to be real. You know, I'm trying to just consider everything here. Michael Lynch, you're saying, just watch the first 2 episodes of Secret Level. Holy shit, that was amazing. Yeah, I'm going to have to check this out. You're the second person today to mention Secret Level. Is it good? I don't know. So it seems like some people were assuming it, or not assuming, but, you know, reading the reviews and thinking it wasn't going to be that good. But I don't know. You guys are giving it some pretty positive praise here. So Capono, you're saying you do always assume the worst. I assume the worst because I lived through the worst. I'm still traumatized by Concord, bro. Anytime, I mean, it's like Helldivers, though. You know, Helldivers exists. So let me tell you what I think the red flag is. And yeah, guys, by the way, we have over 440 people here hanging out and watching. Please do me a favor and hit that like button. I'd really appreciate it. Rudy's like, stop saying Concord. Rudy's just so desperate. Like, please, just don't say the word anymore. Just don't say it anymore. Okay? Stop. Antonio Lopes, you're saying, how ape shit would you go if it's another hero shooter? Sony rolls up. Let me read that again. Antonio Lopes says, how ape shit will you go if after a hero shooter, Sony rolls up with a battle royale? To be honest, Antonio, I wouldn't go ape shit. Unless if it looks really bad. If it looks really bad, I will go ape shit. But if it looks competent, I'm like, listen, man, I've talked about this before, and some people might not know. Dude, I got like addicted to PUBG. And that's like the first major battle royale game. PUBG was amazing. I haven't played it in a long time, but I could not put that game down. If Sony makes a good battle royale, did I platinum it? I did. And it was painful because it was glitched, but I did platinum it. I'll show you proof if I need to. I platinumed PUBG. That's right. So you're like, yo, that's crazy, bro. So I would only go ape if it just looks like, if it tries to be Fortnite Battle Royale, I'm gonna go ape, because it's like, there's no way. If it's something, I would say closer to PUBG, where it's like it's a little bit more skill based, a little, you know, a higher skill ceiling, a little bit more nuanced in its mechanics, maybe a little bit more grounded in realism. Not that PUBG is the most realistic, but you know what I'm saying. If they go in that direction, they will have my attention. We're like, you know what? But yeah, they can't completely copycat it. I do agree with that. Now, and we don't even know if it's going to be a battle royale. It probably won't be, but they can't just copycat it. They have to bring something unique to the table. It's not, I'm not going to sit here and try to guess what that could be, because that's not my job. If that was my job, I'd go work for Sony Bend, right? But they got to bring something that hasn't been done, or at least do something that was attempted to be done before but didn't work out, and actually make it work. But a battle royale, I do think it would be laughed at. I do think it would be laughed at. I do think people would be like, "Are you fucking kidding me, Sony?" But for me personally, I'd be like, "Man, I kind of like battle royale. I'm not gonna lie, so I'll give it a try. You know, I might get into this." And OK drops a single membership gift. He's keeping the member train going today. Today we've got 28 members in total, though. Let me add that to the counter. That brings us to 82. So thank you guys for keeping it going. OK, thank you for the member gift. Definitely appreciate that. You can't do battle royale in 2024. I do think if Sony tries to release a battle royale in like 2025 or 6 or something with this game, I think it's just like you don't stand a chance. It might be good, but it's like you don't stand a chance. I'm so nervous for this game, dude. I really am. Like, I'm nervous for this game because no matter what it tries to do, it's going to compete with something that already exists. And considering Bend Studio has no experience in multiplayer or live service, I am nervous. I do believe they can make a good playing game, something that feels good. But here's another thing that worries me. When I look at Days Gone, I'm just going to be honest right now. I love that game, and it's one of my favorite games I played on the PS4, but the shooting mechanics were okay. They were not like top tier 10 out of 10, like this is some of the best third person shooting I've ever experienced. They were okay. They were competent enough. They were done well enough. But it's like if they take like the shooting mechanics of Days Gone and they're like, we're gonna make a third person shooter where the main driving mechanic is PvP against other people, I'd be like, that worries me. Which game has my favorite shooting mechanic? Well, I mean, see, here's the thing. Call of Duty for a little bit had a third person mode. And if you play that third person mode, I think they got rid of it. But when I played that third person mode, I'm like, this is pretty good. Like, actually, this is very, very good. Like, this feels like a proper third person shooter. I think was it Modern Warfare 2 that had it? Yeah, like they had a third person mode in that game. And I'm like, dude, they did a really good job. I'm like, this feels like a proper third person shooter. But it is really fast paced. So that's why I'm saying, like, I don't know, man. If they can really hone in on refining the shooting mechanics in third person and make it tactical, I think there might be something there, dude. I really do. But I'm very nervous in general for Sony Bend. And let me tell you why. I'm nervous because the red flag that I was speaking of earlier that I still haven't explained it's the idea that anything Sony does in live service now after Concord, people are going to be hyper critical. And that's the red flag. And the reason for that red flag existing is because Sony saw Concord and said, this is amazing. So we consider the fact The Last of Us multiplayer got canceled. Spider-Man live service got canceled. Sony London live service got canceled. What else? I know there were other live service projects that got canceled, but there were a bunch of live service projects that were canceled. The assumption is that these projects got canceled because they just weren't going to be worth it. They weren't working out. They weren't panning out. Or in the case of Naughty Dog, they were like, we just don't want to do this. Concord ultimately got canceled. Yeah. So the assumption now is that any game, live service game that comes from Sony now is a game that they deemed, Twisted Metal got canceled. Thank you. I forgot about that, Garrett. they deemed good enough to not cancel, to actually see to market. So in other words, any game that basically comes from after Helldivers, from Helldivers onward, this is a game that Sony evaluated and said, this is good enough. We believe in this. And Concord was one of those games. That's the problem. That's what I'm trying to get. That's the red flag. So it's like when I hear third person modern military shooter, I am a little bit excited. Like, that does speak to me. I like third person shooters. I like modern military games. I like that. But I just can't help but think, like, dude, it's from the same publisher that thought Concord was their next Star Wars. So I'm just nervous in that, like, this game could, like, I hope we don't see a situation where it's like, here it is. You've waited 4 or 5 years. Here's Sony Bend's new game. And we see the first trailer, and it's like the most generic, uninteresting looking shooter ever made. And it people are just looking at it and they're like, what is this? You know, like, why are you doing this? But I don't know, man. We have to ask ourselves, what about the aesthetic? What is this game going to look like? Is it going for photorealism? Is it going for a stylized look? If it's going to be modern military, are they going for that? Again, if you kind of look at SOCOM, they had, you know, I'd say a color palette mostly based in realism and real world, and we can't really call it photorealistic, but they were going for more. They were aiming for more realistic, you know, graphics, if you want to call it that. It wasn't very stylized. Are they going to go for that? Will the characters be sexy? I mean, let me look at these images again. So I'm looking at the image of what looks to be, it's like a soldier. It's in black and white, so it's very, very early. I'm looking at a soldier. It's in a third person view. I see wardrobe, rank, transfer station A, and making out this character model. It looks like a dude with a shaved head. He does have what looks like a battle dress uniform on and some armor plating, and it does look pretty modern. I see looks like the health bar, maybe armor underneath it. I mean, there's really, on the right, there's a handgun symbol. See, there's another one here where this character model is placed what looks to be an early concept. The background is blurred, but it looks like there's some trees. It almost looks like there's like a dam or something. And then there's like trees. See, listen, I'm looking at this right now. One of the guns that they have highlighted here, they have hand cannon, SMG, shotgun, sniper rifle, assault rifle, pistol. SMG, components required: iron, wood, nanites. You need 5 iron, 5 wood, 5 nanites. So I guess there's like some kind of crafting in this, but the gun is a Chris Vector 45 ACP. That's a modern military weapon. That's like a modern warfare weapon. I will say the text, I'm looking at the text right now. the text is interesting because it almost, I don't know, it looks I don't like the text. I don't know how to explain it. I'm looking at the HUD right now. So on the HUD on the left side, oh dude, I don't know, man. This HUD looks. Are any of you guys looking at these images with me while I'm looking at them? Looks fan made. Dude, I'm looking at the HUD right now, and it's pretty colorful, dude. Like, I know I can't. I don't want to show them. I'm afraid to show them. I'll be honest. Like, I'm pretty sure this is stuff that could get copyright striked. I'll link it one more time for those who didn't click this article. This is you can see the screenshots in here. But I'm looking at the screenshot where it shows the HUD, and I don't know, man. It's weird. It's weird because on the right side of the HUD, you see weapons. It looks like there's a sniper rifle, an SMG, and a handgun, and those look not stylized at all. Those look real. But then you look in the middle, and you have an XP bar. You have, I guess, what looks like a power bar, a health bar, and an armor bar. And it's very bright, very colorful. And then on the left, you have what looks to be like bandages and like a heart health icon. And they look, I don't know. I don't want to jump to any conclusions. It's just, I'm like eager to see this game now, dude. I am, because this is either going to be something that looks pretty cool and something that's done well, or it's going to be something that is, looks like something your son made in Roblox. Oof. Maxwell, you're saying it looks too much like The Division mixed with Ghost Recon. I mean, I don't know that I'm opposed to that idea. If it looks like that, I think both of those games actually do look pretty good, stylistically speaking, aesthetically speaking. But yeah, the thing is, what we're looking at, this stuff is like, I think, a couple years old, so we have no clue if this is. I don't want to. That's why I didn't want to focus too much on the details of the images, because it's like do you guys remember where the Horizon multiplayer game leaked out, and like that was like 4+ years ago, and who knows if it looks anything like that anymore. I know I've been very negative, if not negative, just very skeptical this whole time, but I hope this is good. Like, straight up. I'm not against, I want to make it clear, I am not against Sony releasing a live service multiplayer modern military third-person shooter from one of their studios. I am not against that. I've been asking for that for a long time. I'm just worried that it's like, I don't want it to fall into that trap. You know what I'm talking about? You know what trap I'm talking about? The trap of like, we see it and it's like, oh brother, like this is what you did. Like you did the thing. You did the thing that we didn't want to see you do. I don't even need to explain what it is. You already know what it is. I just hope it's something that looks good, man. Something that looks good, and it looks like it's going to speak to. It's not trying to speak to the Fortnite crowd. It's not trying to speak to the Call of Duty crowd. It's not trying to speak to the hero shooter crowd. It's just something that feels a little bit more grounded, and something that's just a little bit more like, hey, we just wanted to make a modern military shooter that has really, that has live service sensibilities, like modern live service sensibilities, but has really good gameplay and depth. That would be cool. I would love to see that. Something that we know is not SOCOM. I was like, you know what? This is maybe the closest thing we're gonna get. Sony just confirmed they want to acquire Katakawa. Oh shit! Hold on. Uh-oh. Is it going down? Really quick though, Sean Mitchell. Thank you for the super chat, buddy. You're saying for Sony Bend's next game, if it's to be a tactical shooter, I'd rather they bring back old forgotten mechanics from games like Brothers in Arms or Rainbow Six Vegas rather than be like every shooter that's out now. I actually agree. Bro, the Rainbow Six Vegas games, Rainbow Six Vegas 1 and 2, those were those were genuinely unique tactical shooters that they had this perfect blend of you can play it like a regular first person shooter, but you're discouraged in doing so because there are certain mechanics like the cover mechanic. Dude, the cover mechanic in Rainbow Six Vegas 1 and 2 was so awesome that you could play that game without utilizing it, but you were at a disadvantage. And if you learned to use that cover mechanic properly, it enhanced the game. It felt like nothing else out there. So like I I mean I know that there's Rainbow Six Siege, and I know Rainbow Six Siege is very much a tactical game, but I get where you're coming from, Sean. Something that offers these mechanics that are it just there's something truly unique and different that you just don't see other studios or other games doing. And that's what makes it stand out. I would love to see that. MRPD, you're saying, I don't know. I've never seen Sony come out and say, yeah, we know they want to be bought. Sounds like they're hesitant. Let me go see. Let me go see. I'm not seeing anything pop up. Where are you guys where are you guys seeing this information? Because I'm not finding it. Oh, here we go. Genki Japan. Okay. We have another direct donation. Let me bring that up. Oh God, it's gonna be RichRod again, isn't it? Please no. Please no. No, it's Masochist Mode with a $25 donation. Masochist Mode, bro. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate the direct donos. You're saying off topic, but I was thinking what Sony could do to entice PlayStation 6 purchases. If they let you use all of your PS5 gear, it would be extremely enticing. Yeah, that's not something I really thought about, but I feel like they're gonna have to do that, right? Because man, I could not imagine a scenario, Masochist Mode. I could not imagine. I mean, it's just hard. Maybe it's possible, but I just can't imagine a scenario where Sony's like, hey, you know that DualSense Edge controller you bought for $200? Yeah, you can't use that on the PS6. Um, Sorry. Hey, you know that Pulse Elite headset you bought? Yeah, you can't use that. Now, listen, to be fair, Sony basically already did this with the PS4, where a lot of your PS4 stuff, I believe, did work on the PS5. But to me, what it's really going to come down to is the way in which Sony, uh, the way in which they kind of convey this message, right? Because I feel like, actually, yeah, I don't think no, you're pretty sure you could use a DualShock 4, right? You can't use a DualSense on the PS4, but I'm pretty sure you could use a DualShock 4. Yeah, you can use the DualShock 4 on the PS5, but not the other way around. You can't use the DualSense on the PS4. Only for PS4 games, though. Okay, all right. I knew there was some kind of catch there. Yeah, that makes sense. I knew there was some kind of catch, which is so weird because, like, so wait, I never thought about this. Like, if you're playing a cross-gen game on PS5 and you have a DualShock 4, you can't play the PS5 version. But if you switch to the PS4 version, you can use the DualShock. Is that, I don't know. What I'm trying to say here is that I think Sony, the whole thing about the PlayStation 6 generation is Sony's going to have to be so on point with their messaging. They run the greatest risk of confusing consumers with the PlayStation 6 more so than any other time in PlayStation history, because the law of diminishing returns is in full effect right now, and we are I'm not saying we're not going to see differences with the PS6. We will, but Sony's going to have to be crystal clear. And so the where this notion of you can, hey, you know those Pulse Explore earbuds you bought, or the Pulse Elite headset, or the DualSense Edge, all that stuff you invested in the PlayStation Portal, this can be used on the PlayStation 6. They're going to have to, I think, be extremely explicit about that. But that's where ultimately it comes down to, is Sony planning on moving a lot of these accessory units at the beginning of the PlayStation 6? Or are they going to have a whole new lineup ready to go? Like, for example, yeah, you can use your DualSense Edge on the PS6, but we have a DualSense Edge V2 that we're planning on launching with the PS6, right? I think it's almost the other way around. Like, that's the thing that really gets me, is it's like, if a DualSense Edge V2 comes out, is that not going to work on the PS5? Because to me, that sounds weirder than being able to use the DualSense Edge on the PS6. But it all comes down to the messaging. I think it just feels like if you have a Pro, there's no point in getting the 6 in terms of game performance / graphics. I would buy another DualSense Edge if it works on PS6, specifically the black version. Yeah, well, I think really what you're speaking to here, Masochist Mode, is it's just the greater question of, like, so Sony, are you like, do you still believe in generations here, or are we actually just kind of relaxing on that now, and it's not really about generations anymore? It's actually about, just compatibility and options, right? Basically, I mean, to be honest, like taking the Microsoft route. Sony's like already halfway there. So I feel like the PlayStation 6 is either like you're going to take the full step now and the full plunge, or you're going to backtrack. And, like, for example, when they say, like, they're going to say, like, we do still believe in generations. And when they say that, it's like hard cut off. Like, we want you to go buy a PS6, like right now. Like right now, go buy a PS6. And I feel like I don't think they're going to do that. So my assumption, if I had to guess, is Sony is going to treat the transition to the PlayStation 6 almost the same way they treated the transition from the PS4 to the PS5, where it's like most of, if not all of your PS5 shit will work on the PS6, but nothing from the PS6 will work on the PS5. That's how I think they're going to handle it. I want to know the color scheme, dude. I know that sounds silly, but I'm dying to know the color scheme of the PlayStation 6, because it's like, dude, if they go for a white and black two-tone again, that to me conveys a powerful message. That's the PS5 too. You get what I'm saying? Like, if they go for the white and black two-tone again, it's crazy how much just the color palette could actually influence people. But I think that because the PS5 it really does stand out, has such a unique look where it's like, it's undeniable, that's the PS5, I think what Sony would need to do is consider that. If Sony wants to communicate a message of, this isn't really, like, we're not really trying to push a generation again, we're just trying to lump everything together now, they will do a black and white two-tone color again for the PS6. But if they don't, I think they're conveying, like, we're really trying to, we're going back to PS2 colors. I think that's them basically saying, like, we're really trying to sell this as a completely new generation again. But that was a good question, Masochist Mode. Thank you again for the direct donation. Josh, a member for 17 months, says, MBG, about time I use this. Would you try Space Marine 2? It's really good since the update for the Emperor. That's a game I did mean to play and get around to, and it's just kind of fallen into the backlog. But yeah, it's PS5 Pro enhanced, and I think I might. Yeah, I don't know when exactly, but I'm finishing up Until Dawn and wrapping up that platinum Still just playing a little bit of Call of Duty Zombies here and there. So I think I might look into it once I'm wrapped up with Until Dawn. I had a question actually for this game, for those who have played it or are still playing it. Is it a difficult platinum? Because I know there's a multiplayer mode. I know there's a multiplayer mode in Space Marine 2. So are there multiplayer trophies? And if so, are they real? Does it make it really difficult to get the platinum? Has anybody here gotten the platinum for Space Marine 2? Is what I'm trying to ask. You guys are saying it is a difficult platinum? Damn. If you get it, I'll get it, and we can grind the plat. Yeah, Masochist mode, you're gonna have to carry me, bro. It's gonna be like Helldivers all over again. Dude, Helldivers was so fun. I'm actually, like, one of the things that apparently is going to get announced, supposedly at the Game Awards, is something Helldivers, and I'm like, yes. I can't, dude, listen, I just spent this entire stream practically talking about a third-person shooter from Bend Studio that may or may not be complete shit or be amazing, right? Meanwhile, Helldivers 2 was amazing. Helldivers 2 is such a standout game, I would say, for Sony, in that, like, it is their successful live service game. I'm really excited to see what they do with it, man, because if the only successful live service game we get from Sony is Helldivers 2, I'm actually okay with that, because that game was fun as hell. And I think the Helldivers brand is going to be something that Sony really, really tries to grow in a big way. I want to see a PS5 Pro patch. I want to see that Helldivers 2 DualSense. I want to see the new faction. I've been itching for a reason to go back to Helldivers. They're saying they need to step it up with new content. I think they are about to. I'm hoping. Yeah. I think it's fallen off a little bit, which is to be expected, but 4chan is once again claiming Final Fantasy IX Remake will be shown at the Game Awards. I love how you're saying once again. Subtext, you're saying MBG is finally hyped again in the year 2024 after being beaten down by recent shows. It's good to see the hype back. I am. And listen, you know what? If it's a disappointment, I will blame everybody. Then you're going to see me go ape. If tomorrow's a major letdown disappointment, we're like, what the fuck was that? I'm going to go ape, because this is that would be some bullshit, man. Can't wait for the inevitable disappointment videos. Can I go ape with hat off? I will. If it's that, dude, listen, bro. If it's like, here's how we'll rate my disappointment. There's layers. If it's a great show and we're happy, the hat stays on and I'm cheering and I'm yelling and I'm excited and I'm like Ric Flairing all over the place. If it's like a mid show, like, man, that really was way overhyped, hat off, rant. If it's a fucking tragedy, if it's a tragic show where it's like, this is terrible, I'm in awe. I'm in disbelief at how bad that was. I got the clown wig ready to go. All right? I got it ready to go. So that's how we will rate. That's my scale. Shirt off? I don't know about that. Maybe if I was a little bit more ripped and lean, I'd feel confident in maybe taking the shirt off. Would I get in trouble for that? Like, I don't know. Is YouTube weird about that? I've never attempted to take my shirt off on stream. I don't know that I plan to. But, you know, I mean, hat off, shirt off? I mean, at that point, dreams just came true, right? Dreams just came true. That's the only way that could ever happen. Kojima comes out, says, RichRod, fuck you. I feel like Kojima knows about RichRod slander, and he's gonna have something to say to him tomorrow night. Oh, holy shit, that was weird. As I said that, RichRod dropped a super chat saying, "Read my last comment, damn it. NB Gangsta's rise." Get out of my head, bro. Todd Howard's going to present at the Game Awards like Kojima. Yeah, we got Kojima presenting. We got Todd Howard presenting. So apparently people do take their shirts off on stream. All right, well, I got to get ripped first. Like, I have some muscle tone. I lost a bit because I had to take a break. But if I get ripped again, we could do that. I don't know how many people want that, but it's not about what you want. You know? It's about what I just need to do. All right? So I'm back on my training regimen. I need a reason. I'm going to be honest, I need a reason. Okay? I need a reason to push myself these days and to try to, like, you know, sculpt a physique. So if I'm like, well, you know, shirt off, right? Shirt off. Yeah, I'm sorry, RichRod. I lost your comment, dude. I'm too busy talking about me taking my shirt off. I don't even... Wasn't I supposed to talk about how Sony said they're going to purchase Katakawa? You saw that last Xbox secret hype, and it ended up being a professional dart thrower sponsorship? Wait, what are you talking about? Just go on in boxers and a wife beater. I hate that we call them wife beaters. I just call them tank tops. I don't like... I just don't feel comfortable. Like, I don't want to wear something that's called a wife beater. You know what I mean? It's just... it makes me feel uncomfortable. All right, let me read the Katakawa news. I'm sorry. Just got way off track there. Shirt off, hat off is approaching the full Kratos. We'll get there, man. We will get there. If I can get that physique, I don't think I could ever get as ripped as Kratos, bro. I don't think I could ever do that naturally. That's pretty tough. That's a high watermark. But if I ever get close, we'll get there. We'll do it. We'll do it. So Genki Japan says Sony have confirmed their intent to buy FromSoftware parent company Katakawa. Quote, "It's true that we have made an initial statement of intent. We would appreciate it if you could all shut the fuck up." No, I'm sorry. I mean, to be honest, that's basically what they're saying. They're saying it's true that we've made an initial statement of intent. We would appreciate it if you could refrain from further comment. I mean, that's basically what they're saying, bro. They're like, please shut up. Please stop talking about it. Like, you guys are going to ruin this. You're going to ruin it. Share the link. Let me share the link. This is Genki Japan. I would respect Sony if they said it like that. Dude, I would too. Well, I mean, guys, this pretty much confirms this is happening. I mean, that's about as close to just a straight up, like, yeah, we're going to buy them. You know? Get out of here. Sony doesn't want the whole thing. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? Well, I saw another report. Look, I want to go over this with you guys real quick because I saw this too. Speaking of Sony buying Katakawa. Hold on, I gotta find it. Let me just go on Reddit. I think I'll be able to find it there. Yeah, so it says here, Katakawa's employees are reportedly optimistic about a Sony buyout because they're itching for a change in leadership. The people around me are thrilled at the prospect of an acquisition by Sony. That's because there's a certain number of employees who are dissatisfied with the Natsuno administration, which didn't even bother to hold a press conference after people's personal information was leaked in the cyber attack. They expect that if Sony were to acquire the company, they would get rid of the president first, a veteran employee of Katakawa comments. The Natsuno administration mentioned here refers to the leadership of Katakawa's current president and CEO, Takeshi Natsuno, who was appointed back in June 2021. Earlier this year, a group of hackers called Black Suit launched a ransomware cyber attack on Katakawa services, including Nico Nico, one of Japan's most accessed video streaming platforms. The hackers claimed to have stolen 1.5 terabytes of data, which Katakawa confirmed included personal information of their users and employees. It seems that Nasuno's sluggish response during this crisis has caused significant dissatisfaction among Katakawa's employees, to the point of his potential dismissal, fueling positive sentiment towards Sony's acquisition. So, it says here, meanwhile, former chairman, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name, who belongs to Katakawa's founding family, was, quote, surprised but appeared positive about the acquisition. So, I think it's kind of becoming obvious what's going on here. I think what's happening is Katakawa very clearly wants to be purchased by Sony. Like, they're like, please buy us. Like, we would really appreciate it if you could just buy us. And Sony's in this position where they're like, man, we really don't want to buy the whole thing. Like, we really don't want to do this. We want your gaming division, we want your anime division, and everything else you can just deal with that. We really don't want to. We don't want to take the baggage. Basically, that's what Sony's saying, is they don't want to take the baggage. They don't want to take more than they have to. And it's interesting because it does seem like Sony's just going to bite the bullet. And to be honest, I'm not sure what else Katakawa has. I just know they're a massive company. It seems like Sony's going to bite the bullet and just do it anyway. Because yeah, if Sony doesn't, somebody else will, and apparently it's going to be hostile. Like, it's going to be a different. I think it was like that Korean company that's just going to basically do a hostile takeover, and Katakawa really doesn't want that to happen. And I'm not sure Sony wants that to happen either. So I think they're just like, we're going to bite the bullet and take care of this. So I do think that with this latest update, Sony confirmed their intent. It's so funny, dude. The comment from Sony so funny, like, please refrain from saying any more. Like, please. You guys are getting really annoying. Like, Sony almost sounds irritated. Like, these motherfuckers, man, they're really gonna make us do this, huh? Like, do we have a choice? Like, an agitated acquisition is what's this? It's what it's looking like it's gonna be. An agitated acquisition that Sony's like, I don't know, man. Magnum Gaming, you're saying, does Sony need to have the license from the U.S. Navy to make a SOCOM? Maybe that is why they haven't rebooted. That's actually a great question. I have no idea, Magnum Gaming. I think maybe somebody in the chat would know better than I would. I don't know if that's something you would need a license to. I mean, I guess it would make sense. Irfan, you're saying Jeff Grubb talks the Game Awards. Check Reddit. All right, I'll check that in just a second. Irfan, thank you for keeping me updated. But yeah, Magnum Gaming, that would explain why it's been so long. Fun fact, the SOCOM game director is working on South of Midnight. Really? That's actually very interesting. I would have never guessed that in a million years. All right, let me go check Reddit. See what's going on over here. Jeff Grubb says, everyone I've talked to sure is buzzing about the Game Awards announcements. So Jeff Grubb said that on Blue Sky. Man, everyone I talk to sure is buzzing about Game Awards announcements. Is Blue Sky actually good, dude? Like, I'm seeing Blue Sky pop up a lot more. Is it actually good? I don't know. I just don't know that I want to manage any more social media, man. We now have Jeff Grubb, Jason Schreier, Andy Robinson, Jez Corden, and Shinobi teasing big Game Awards announcements. Huh. It's a dumpster fire? Less drama on Blue Sky? No, it's like pre-Elon, but worse. I'm not going to lie, that actually fascinates me. Like, I almost want to just, like, see it. I want to know if that's true. It's been so long since we've seen, like, I feel like I kind of forgot what Twitter was like pre-Elon. Less drama, but more CP. Shadowlink says, I've been out of the gaming information for a few weeks. When's the Game Awards? Tomorrow, Shadowlink. Tomorrow at, well, I don't know where you're located, but for me, it's starting at 7:30 Eastern time. And it sounds like it's going to be a massive show, bro. That's what it's sounding like. It's all censored. Hmm. I mean, like, when you say censored, like in what regard? Like, because I don't know, man. I'm not necessarily pro censorship, right? But I won't lie to you. Like, I've seen shit on Twitter that I never needed to see, and I didn't look for it. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it like got me to a point where I'm like, I can't believe what I just saw. Uh, Again, it's gotten me to a point where I've seriously contemplated deleting that app. I'm not gonna go on a diatribe about it again, but oh, you're saying people get banned for basic opinions? Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. I guess I was thinking of a different type of censorship. The only reason I can't delete Twitter, simply put, is I can't I just can't escape the fact that I have over 70,000 followers on there, and I don't know, man. If I could just get to a point where I can just tweet shit out that I want to tweet out and then just walk away. Like, it just, like, I want to get it to a point where I just serve my following, and that, like, I know people are following me because they want to sometimes hear, they want to hear some opinions, or if not opinions, they just want to know, like, some news or whatever. I feel like if I could just use it for that. Why did I stop posting comments on YouTube? Are you talking about MRPD? Are you talking about the community tab? Yeah, so the only reason I stopped doing that, dude, is because I started to feel like it it was overwhelming my subscribers because it shows up in their feeds. You know what I mean? And I started to get worried that, like, man, I'm posting like everything. I'm posting videos, I'm posting streams, now I'm posting pictures, and I'm like basically tweets. And I know people liked it, and I did for the longest time make it like members only, and maybe I will go back to that. I've been thinking about it. Like, to be honest, it really comes down to what I end up doing on Twitter. If I do walk away from Twitter at some point, then I will go back to using the community tab. Now, the only reason I'm holding off is because YouTube has an update that they're rolling out, I think sometime next year, where basically they're doing their own version of Discord on YouTube. They're calling it Communities, and I'm really interested in this because I hate Discord. I'm going to be honest. Like, I never liked using Discord. But if YouTube integrates something directly into my channel, and it's like it works for all of my subscribers automatically, that's cool. Like, yeah, sure, okay. If it's just there and all I got to do is just set it up, and then it basically, there's going to be, I guess, like a, I mean, I guess there's going to be a whole new community section where, if I understand correctly, it's going to basically be like a 24/7 chat or whatever, that I can kind of just pop into, or anybody on the channel can pop into. At least that's kind of how I understood it. But yeah, basically it's going to be YouTube's version of Discord. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, dude, I can't stand Discord. No offense to anybody who likes it. I'm just saying, like, I couldn't. I'm just like on that. I'm like, what the fuck am I looking at? Like, I'm serious. Like, I'm just like, what am I even looking at right now? How long ago was the idea of communities mentioned? I think it was like a month or two ago. They said they're like in the beta testing phase right now. So we will see. They have other stuff they're doing too. I think I mentioned it before. YouTube's going to be rolling out, I forget what they're calling it, but like basically users, this is the craziest shit ever. And I don't know if you know about this. I think a lot of people don't know about this because it's not that it's a secret. It was made public, but it's all in like beta testing right now. They're going to be rolling out, are they jewels? I forget what they're calling it. But basically the way it works is subscribers and community members can pay to boost your video in the algorithm. Hypes, there we go. That's what it's called. Yeah, that's like essentially what it is. Well, not the algorithm. I don't think it affects the, from my understanding, it doesn't affect the main YouTube algorithm, but there's going to be like a whole separate section that is fueled by what we call, what they're going to call hypes. And so essentially, people will be able to pay for hypes, which will boost that creator's video in that specific hype category. So it's, yeah, they just call it boosting. I mean, that's what it is. You're saying Telegram does that? That's what it is. The intent is to push smaller channels to the top. I mean, I'm not like against it necessarily, you know, as long as it's separate from the main YouTube algorithm. If they keep them separate, you know, I think it's fine. As long as you know I'm clicking on the hype tab, and so you know that everything you're seeing was paid to be boosted. As long as the user's aware of that, I think that's fine. So guys, make sure you hype my videos. All right? Make sure you hype my videos. Let's get them up there. We'll make it to the top. MRPD says yes, Sensei. Pay to hype. Sounds weird. I'm curious to see how it works. I'm curious to see if it is a disaster or not. We have to pay to hype your channel? Well, you don't have to. It's think of it like this. At least this is how I'm trying to imagine it. You know how people pay for membership gifts? So like today, Corey Landiga dropped 20 membership gifts and he paid for that. So he paid to give users of this channel access to members only content for a limited time. Basically, what users will be able to do is they can pay to expose your video to new people and potentially garner new subscribers and new community members. That's essentially how I'm viewing it. But who knows if it'll actually work that way. Like on paper, it sounds fine. But is it supposed to be the other way around? It's 2024, man. Well, it's about to be 2025. Everything's ass backwards and upside down. Didn't you get the memo? Yeah, guys, hit that like button for me. Help boost the channel. We're at 173 likes. Let's see if we can bump that up to 200. I'd really appreciate it. YouTube has gone off the deep end. We'll see how it works. YouTube's been definitely making a lot of changes. And I don't know, man. I'm just trying to keep my content, flowing as best I can for what people expect. Thoughts on Forspoken on PSN or PlayStation Plus for December? I'm surprised it took this long. That's my honest thought. I'm surprised it took that long. Well, guys, we're going to move on to the next topic here, which talks about Xbox exclusivity. We have a new report that I want to go over with you guys. Nothing crazy, but just some more insight from an Xbox executive into how they're approaching Xbox exclusivity. So, it says here from WCCF Tech, Microsoft's Xbox finally has a Game of the Year contender in a popular category such as action adventure with Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. It's a bit ironic that it launched a couple weeks too late to be considered for the Game Awards that goes live tomorrow. Regardless of that, Microsoft and all parties involved are very happy about the game's reception. Speaking to Variety after the reviews hit, Xbox president of game content and studios Matt Booty also discussed the exclusivity topic, suggesting that it will be evaluated on a case-by-case basis. Quote, "We are very much making the exclusivity and windowing decisions on a game-by-game basis, and each of our studios is in a little bit of a different position. There's also the production timeline on a game, so the decision on spacing comes there first. We want to make sure there's a great experience for our Xbox users, and then the gap between when it becomes available on PlayStation is as much a production decision as it is anything else. This is a game that was in production before we acquired Bethesda even." The article continues by saying this sounded like a partial backtrack compared to Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer's latest statement that there were no red lines when it comes to Xbox exclusives being ported to other consoles. So what do you guys make of this quote from Matt Booty? Novinzer says, "I've been paying for you to watch Enemy, LOL. Novinzer, if you hype my channel enough, when hypes become publicly available, get my video to go viral, hype it to a point of virality, and I'll watch Enemy, Novinzer." Devil Shooter says, "Bullshit." Garrett, you're saying a PR statement. Laz, you're saying, in other words, indie IP and license forced us to bring it to other platforms. Trying to give the bots hope again, only to cause them pain later. Well, yeah, so there's a couple things I think that's worth noting here. The first is that Phil Spencer's higher up, obviously, than Matt Booty. So Phil Spencer says no red lines, excuse me. Matt Booty says case-by-case basis. There's something I want to point out here. All right? That I think is maybe some people forgot about, and I just don't know how much stock is worth putting into it. When Microsoft first acquired Bethesda back in 2021, one of the first things they said when they were asked about exclusivity, and I think Phil Spencer was the one who said this at the time, is it's a case-by-case basis. So that was said in 2021 when the expectation was that pretty much everything was going to be exclusive. And, Indiana Jones, I think it's important to understand that Indiana Jones was not meant to come to PlayStation. Like, I think some people kind of, when they read quotes like this from certain Xbox executives, they kind of forget that. But it was never meant to come to PlayStation. And Xbox originally made it clear that, like, yeah, we're going to make this game exclusive. But then at like the last minute, they're like, actually, it is going to come to PlayStation. And that came after, a couple of other first-party Microsoft games made its way to PlayStation. There's a couple things that I want to highlight with this quote. Like I said, the first is the case-by-case basis statement. I don't think this statement really means anything at this point. I mean, it's fine. It means what it means. It means case by case. We're going to evaluate each game. But I think some people do take that as like, so you're saying there will be exclusives. And it's like, I think what he's saying is that Some games are going to be timed, others will not be. I think that's what case by case means. To whereas I feel like in the past, when Phil Spencer said case by case basis, people took that more as, so you mean like games that were already announced or games that are like, you know, like any live service games or whatever, or that are already available on the platform. That's what you mean, right? That's how people, I think, took it back in 2021. Now, I think the way people are taking it is you basically are talking about timed exclusivity. I do not believe for a second that Indiana Jones like was intentionally made a timed exclusive. I think Indiana Jones, if it was ready to release on PlayStation 5 right now, would be out right now. It's interesting to me that Matt Booty, you know, again, he says this here. He says, we want to make sure there's a great experience for our Xbox players, and then the gap between when it becomes available on PlayStation is as much a production decision as it is anything else. Let's analyze this statement a little bit, because first he starts with saying we want to have a great experience for our Xbox players. So, translation by Indiana, he's saying that Indiana Jones being exclusive right now to the Xbox console is making it a great experience for Xbox players. That's what's making it a great experience. That's interesting because that is literally antithetical to all of Microsoft's messaging. But I get where he's coming from. It's like, hey, it is exclusive right now, so let's just say it's a good thing. Sure. People do this all the time, you know? But it is antithetical to their wider messaging. He's also implying with that statement that they're going to do this again, that they're going to try to make sure that these upcoming experiences are great for Xbox players by making sure they're not also releasing on PlayStation yet. Something else that I think needs to be highlighted here is he just straight up name drops PlayStation in this interview. He just straight up says, and then the gap between when it becomes available on PlayStation is as much a production decision as anything else. I mean, is anybody else kind of picking up on the fact that like Microsoft they are just getting keep in mind, Matt Booty is, he's very heavily PR trained. You know, all of the Xbox executives are heavily PR trained. They know what they're not supposed to say and what they're okay to say. This is something new. This is like the first time that an Xbox executive is just straight up like, yeah, we'll give it to you on Xbox first, so we make sure it's special for you before we put it on PlayStation. I think people are overlooking the fact that they're once again making it clear that we're planning on putting our games on PlayStation. Now, I don't think that's surprising. I'll be honest with you. I don't think that's surprising, but I do think there is some truth to what somebody said in the chat a moment ago, where sometimes these PR interviews, they do kind of, you get this sense that they're like trying to speak to that very specific entrenched Xbox audience that's still holding on to like a hope or a belief that like they're still going to have like big exclusives, that they will be able to be like, it's ours, not yours, right? And I get the sense that we're still kind of seeing that. Yeah, like it's almost like the Xbox PR team is trying to give those individuals some level of hopium. But in reality, I think anybody who reads this statement from Matt Booty, it's like pretty clear what he's saying. Like, yeah, you can expect some timed exclusives, but you know, it's just a matter of like I'll be honest with you, the more I read this statement, it almost sounds like he's basically saying, if the game isn't ready to release on PlayStation, then it won't release on PlayStation. Like that literally almost is what this sounds like. Like, what do you think he means when he says PlayStation is as much a production decision as anything else? It sounds to me like he's saying that that some of the, it is giving third party vibes in the sense that not every single one of their games that's in development right now. Like PlayStation was not part of the production pipeline in the beginning. I don't know. Maybe I'm overanalyzing it, but I just think that Phil Spencer saying there's no red lines, acknowledging Halo, saying, it's too early to say, and now Matt Booty just straight up name dropping PlayStation and making it sound like, yeah, we're going to consider Xbox before we release it on PlayStation. I just need to once again highlight that just a year ago, one Xbox executive, the CFO of Xbox, said during an investors meeting or summit that they're going to start going more multi-platform to get better margins on their games. One executive said that, everybody lost their shit. Everybody lost their shit and was like, no fucking way. 1 year later, it's literally been about 12 months, maybe a little over 12 months, leaning closer to 13 months. You're literally hearing Matt Booty basically say, yeah, of course, we'll release some stuff on Xbox first to make sure the Xbox players feel special before we consider when we're going to release it on PlayStation. And that's like, when you break it down, that's essentially what he's saying. Now, let's look at it the other way, though. MBG, what if you're wrong? What if this is a bad take? This is a bad read? What if Matt Booty's actually saying is, actually, no, some games are not ever going to go to PlayStation. They are going to remain console exclusive to Xbox. Could it be possible that that's what he's saying? I mean, of course it's possible, but I'm not sold on that. I'm not sold on that notion because, I mean, I'm just trying to think to myself, like, what... I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, I haven't seen or heard anything from Microsoft that conveys to me that that's what they're planning on doing. Doom was announced this year, and it was announced for PlayStation. Doom is now featured. Doom is a first-party Microsoft game. It's featured in Sony's latest trailer for upcoming games in 2025. Every time there's a new Indiana Jones trailer, it's published on the PlayStation YouTube channel. And this is, again, a potential Game of the Year contender, dude. So, I don't know. I mean, maybe he is talking more about first party. I mean, like the first party, like Forza, Halo, and Gears. And Steven Leon coming in out of nowhere. Steven Leon making his presence known, dropping a 20 bomb on you guys. He drops the 20 bomb. He drops the hammer. Corey Landiga dropped 20 earlier. Now Steven's dropping 20. Hellbound got a 5 in there.
Holy shit.
Good stuff, man. Let's see where that brings us. I think that brings us to 102. 102 in total. Good stuff, man. So, like I said, you guys are chipping away at this goal. We'll see if we end up getting it by the end of the month. Very much appreciate that, Steven. Thank you so much for the continued support here on the channel and supporting the community. Good stuff, man. Hats off with the reps. Should I take my hat off? I don't know if I'm going to take this hat off today. You know why? This hat's really tight on my head. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm wearing this hat today because I couldn't find my other one. And this was the only one I had available. But it's really tight on my head, and I'm pretty sure... Actually, let me check. I'm pretty sure I have, like, a mark. Or maybe I don't, actually. Oh. Wait, no, do you see that? Do you see that mark? It's, like, embedded in my head. I'll wear it like this. I'm going to wear my hat now. Here you go. Perfect timing for Mrs. MBG to open the door. Okay. No, I do like this hat. I love this hat. It's just a little tight. I have a fat head. Steven says ring around the dome. Pretty much, yeah. This is how I do it now. I did shave my head the other day, but it's growing in quick. So I don't know. I might have to shave it again. My stream is buffering on your side. Guys, is the stream buffering? How does this hat look backwards? How's that look? I got the logo on both sides, bro. It's not adjustable. It's not. No, it's a flex fit, and it's kind of tight. Not gonna lie. Oh, you guys like it? You guys like it backwards? Looks better backwards. All right, we keep it that way for a little bit. When it comes to doing reps, you know what? We'll see about that. I keep forgetting to bring my weights up because there's the problem. I gotta find a space for them, dude. There's just not enough space in this area. But I might have to move a couple things around. But we gotta start doing those reps again. Nice do-rag. I will say as well, we are 2 members today. We are 2 members away from hitting 50. We're at 48. For the month, like for the monthly goal, we're at 102, but today we're at 48. So 2 more members and we hit that 50 mark. And I'll drop if we hit 2 more members, if we get 2 more, I'll drop, let me see. I could drop another 5 for you guys. All right. I think what we'll be doing, I have to plan out what I want to do because tomorrow we're streaming the Game Awards. So there's definitely not going to be members content tomorrow because I'm doing like a longer stream, a longer public stream. I don't even think I'm going to be doing a video tomorrow. But I do want to try to do another morning with the missus very soon with you guys. All right. So I can't promise it'll be this week, but it should be within the next 7 days. We will do another morning with the missus. Okay. And Steven Leon drops the 5, bro. He's like, you know what? Let's make it 25. He gets us over the 50 mark. Steven did it. He did it. Let me play. Hold on.
It's dangerous to rely on teraflops as an absolute indicator of performance.
I forgot where the Mark Cerny one was located. Which one is? Hold on. There we go. All right. Thank you, Steven. You get a blood curdling scream. So I'll add that to the total here. Steven, you're saying, yeah, that's more me. There you go. Boss is chilling. We did feed Boss earlier, so I'm gonna hold off on that. I don't want to. But just to wrap up the Xbox topic, it's not like a huge deal what he's saying here. I just think it's interesting to hear what anybody at Xbox has to say about exclusivity at this point in time. I am of the mindset that Microsoft has made it pretty clear that going forward, they're mostly a third-party publisher. And if a game is console exclusive to Xbox, it's just a matter of time until it eventually comes to PlayStation. Could be wrong. Maybe they will take a different approach, but that's my read on it. Generic White Male, you're saying you platinumed Liza P. That's number 53. Congratulations, dude. That's not an easy platinum, in my opinion. I platinumed that game in the beginning of January, or at the end of January, I mean. And it was an amazing game. Liza P is incredible. Yeah, I meant to ask you guys, has anybody been able to do the PlayStation wrap up? Because I've been trying to do it, and it's broken. It just won't work. It's just not letting me check my shit. It says we'll be back later or something like that. It's not working for you either. Unknown, you're saying you did? Yeah, generic white male. By the way, I'm waiting for that DLC too. I wonder if that's going to show up at the Game Awards tomorrow. Still says we'll be back soon. Okay. Yeah, I'm just going to keep... I'm going to keep checking it because I'm curious to see my stats. I'm curious to see what I played. I mean, I mostly remember everything I played, but sometimes you look at everything compiled and you're a little surprised by some of the results. Yeah, I just want to say I'm on the PS5 subreddit, and I just saw that it was finally well, actually, it was 4 hours ago. I missed it. They are reporting on the Sony Bend situation, or the leak, and almost all of the replies are people talking about, you know, it like reminding them of SOCOM or being SOCOM. And so I don't know, man. It'll be really interesting to see when this game's revealed if they can thread that needle and get people hyped. Am I going to get Metallica Beat Saber? I did see that Metallica. Oh, by the way, I forgot to drop the 5 members for you guys. Hold on. I did say I would do that. Here's another 5 member gifts for the community. There you go. Thank you, guys. I mean, yeah, I saw that was announced for Beat Saber, but I've never really played Beat Saber. So something like that, it's like somewhat tempting, you know? But I think right now I'm probably not. Probably not. I heard it's really good, though. You want to try Beat Saber, but you don't want to sweat on your headset. Yeah, I don't know. One day I'm going to get back into PSVR 2, but it's just one of these things where I just don't feel comfortable doing it until I'm sure that I'm really going to try to dig in, you know? I don't know what it's going to take, but one day I'll get back on it. I'm thinking I just couldn't really stick with VR2 very long because I think people were telling me it can take quite a while to build up a tolerance, and I think I was just really struggling. Like every time I played it, I was enjoying it, but when I was done, I was like wrecked. It was like ruining my nights where I'm like I had the worst headache, my eyes hurt, you know? And I started to just get to a point where it's like when I would look at it, I'm like, MRP, you're saying, yeah, bro, I think only new subscribers get gifted. I haven't seen one regular get gifted anymore. Yeah, I'm telling you, man. It's I think YouTube they've cracked down on it. I mean, obviously, I don't want that to discourage anybody from gifting memberships because we are getting new subscribers, and I do want new people to be exposed to the members' content that we're doing. I think ultimately it's all in an effort to get people to actually consider like become a paying member. You know what I mean? So I think that's to be honest, I think that's pretty fair. I feel like if you get a whole year of a free membership, I think that's pretty good, dude. You know, a whole year's worth of members only content. But yeah, I do understand where YouTube's coming from. They want people to seemingly re-up their memberships and become paying members. Well, see, that's what's weird, though. JMR, you're saying you've only got like 3 months or 4. So that doesn't make sense either. Because I did see some people saying that they did not receive it for a year and they're just not getting gifted anymore. Travis, you think it's bugged? Maybe, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's just a bug, dude, because YouTube's always updating shit on the back end and shit just breaks sometimes or just gets altered. Like right now, my entire YouTube studio just crashed. YouTube, they always have some weird shit going on in the background. It's beast mode. You're saying true. I haven't gotten one for a year either. I think only 1 month. Unknown, you're saying, hold on. See, this is so weird to me. Unknown, can you answer this question? Do you watch other streamers on YouTube? Because you're saying that happens on my stream every hour. It just crashes. So it's happening to you too. Do you watch other streamers, and does this happen on their streams? Because I've been feeling for a while that there's some weird shit going on my channel, dude. There's just some weird ass shit afflicting my channel. And I feel like it's only my channel. It does okay. All right. Well, that makes me feel better. Thank you. Thank you for reassuring me. That makes me feel better. That means it's a YouTube-wide problem. Jim Ryan's ghost. Yeah, bro. He's possessed my channel. Voodoo curse. My channel's haunted. MBG, it does happen. It shows it crashed, but the stream is still going. Yeah, it's so weird. I don't know why it does that. I hope YouTube fixes it, because I'm not going to lie. It's been getting very annoying. It's hourly. It crashes. JMR, you're saying I've been a fan for years. It's weird how I never get gifted. The Dom of the Dragoon, you're saying ever since he watched all that Eric Andre, he's coming after your ass. Yeah, dude. I think that was when I pushed YouTube. I was pushing my limit on YouTube with that. A lot of people are moving to Rumble. How is Rumble? Like, what's the difference between YouTube and Rumble? Because I've been seeing that. What is Rumble? The chat crashes a lot on other channels. Planet Slurping, you're saying you're saying you haven't given a membership in months, but maybe meant to say gotten. Rumble has horrible ads. Like what? Chris Brown says, come on, guys. If you're able to pay to become a member, MVG provides some based content. Well, Chris, that's very nice of you to say, man. I appreciate that. Rumble is YouTube, but less censorious. Capono says, if you're not receiving gifts, try opting out and then opting yourself back in. You could try that. Yeah, there's no guarantee that'll work, but you could try it if you haven't. Rumble is the OG YouTube, so no censorship. Rumble is a Temu YouTube. A lot of different opinions here. Rumble isn't as stable for streaming yet, but it's catching up. Huh. Guy Gravity, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Who the hell is Carlos? Says he did that. He did opt out and then re-opt in, and it didn't work. Yeah, so actually, MRPD, thank you for bringing that up, because I did mean to mention that. PlayStation announced more content for Astrobot, more free content. I was barely able to squeeze this into my video because the news dropped like as soon as I was about to finish editing my video, and it says on the PlayStation blog, fun-filled, shiny surprises for you to discover starting December 12th. How have you all been these last few weeks? We hope you're getting ready for a nice festive season with your loved ones. Since releasing Astrobot earlier this year on PlayStation 5, we have been submerged by lovely comments from you and the PlayStation community, and we are delighted with the critical response to the game all over the world. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for showing your appreciation. It truly means a lot to us. As our way of saying thank you, it is my pleasure to announce that a whole new piece of free additional content is coming to Astrobot. Indeed, little robotic elves of Team Asobi have been very busy preparing a whole new level called Winter Wonder, which will be coming live on Thursday, December 12th at 6 p.m. Pacific time. You will need to have completed the game for this special update to appear. So that's actually interesting. They're saying you need to complete the game. Since we want it to remain a little surprise, we will not say too much, but you should expect a fun-filled level with shiny presents, a good dose of jingle bells, and brand new special bots to add to your crew. This winter update was made with every user in mind, meaning it is a celebration enjoyable for children and adults alike. So no hair pulling challenge this time. We had a lot of fun making this special present for you all, and we hope you enjoy it very much too. That's all from us. This year has been a very special journey for us at Team Asobi, and we thank you for joining us. Until next time, we wish you a very relaxing and restful end of the year, full of gaming, of course, but above all, full of good health and happiness all around. For now, it's goodbye from Astro and the bots. We'll see you around. Team Asobi out. So that's honestly, man, how wholesome. That's awesome. I mean, dude, more free content for Astro. Honestly, I really am digging this because I think I'm gonna boot this up tomorrow with my son. He's been in the Astro. He's been really in the Astro, and I don't think it's a limited time level. They were saying you have to beat the game, which is interesting to me. You do have to complete the game to access this. So I did just complete all the challenge or the time trials levels, and I got all the bots, so I got 100%. I don't know if they're adding trophies to this. I wouldn't be surprised if they're not. It just sounds like it's something just, again, like wholesome, fun, and just interactive that they wanted to put out there. And I think that's really cool. So I'll definitely be booting that up, and I'll play it with Mrs. MBG and my son, and he'll probably be really psyched about that. Goodbye, Astrobot. We will be there cheering for your second outing. I mean, listen, I know we've spent so much of this year talking about Sony's shortcomings in some areas, or, you know, talking about how maybe they've dropped the ball somewhat, or some people really believe they dropped the ball when it comes to this generation or announcing new games. But, you know, can we just take a moment to really acknowledge how awesome Astrobot is? I mean, it's I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Astrobot's the greatest video game I ever played. I'm not going to try to like oversell it or anything, but it's just, you know, Team Asobi, I guess what I'm trying to say here is it's so cool to see that Team Asobi was a new team formed just a couple of years ago, kind of from the ashes of PlayStation Japan Studio. And it seemed like they were going to do more Astro, but we were kind of unsure. And then they just kind of came out this year like, here it is. It's a full-blown Astro game. We hope you enjoy it. It looked like it was going to be awesome. It did live up. It's one of the highest quality platformers out there. And they're also doing a great job with post-content support, and it's all free. And just a shout out to Team Asobi, man. Like, honestly, I think that they did some heavy lifting this year. A year where Sony can't come out and be like, we don't have a big tentpole title, but you know what? We do have Astro. And I do think that counts for something, man. I really enjoyed my time with it. And so good shit, man. Good shit. I hope Team Asobi, I hope whenever they have their next outing, I hope they find even more success, man, because they deserve it. Team Asobi holding down the brand like Insomniac did for the last 2 to 3 years. Yeah, I think they did it. They really, I think, I genuinely do feel that if Astrobot didn't release this year, it would have been a much worse year. Honestly, it would have been a much worse year for PlayStation. And also, fun fact, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Astrobot's the most nominated game for the Game Awards tomorrow. I'm not expecting it to win. I think it'll win a couple things, but it just goes to show, man, like Team Asobi really fucking nailed it. They did. They really knocked it out of the park. And I suspect the next time we'll see them is maybe at the launch of the PlayStation 6 with Astrobot 2 or something. So, shout out to Astro, man. Shout out to Astrobot. You think it might win Game of the Year? It could. I would be I would be surprised, just because the competition is so fierce. Competition is fierce. I would be so thrilled for Team Asobi if they won Game of the Year. That'd be crazy. I would be so happy for them. Like, man, because you know that they would not expect that. You know, like there's no way they would expect to take home Game of the Year, and that'd be really cool. It'd be an interesting upset, I would say. MBG, do you think we'll see Wolverine's real trailer tomorrow? I think there's a good chance, dude. I don't know, man. I'll talk more about it tomorrow. I'm going to be going live early before the Game Award starts, but I think Sony's going to show up big. I do. Like, I'm actually excited. I am. I usually go in with lower expectations or modest expectations. There have been previous years where maybe I did get my hopes up too high, and Sony really, they didn't bring anything huge, but I feel differently this year. I don't know. I have this hunch that it's based off of everything we're hearing that it, I don't know, man. Like, my only question is, if Sony does go big tomorrow, why do you think they would choose to do it at the Game Awards and not like on their own terms? That's the only thing that I think still kind of eludes me a little bit, where it's like, I don't know, they could have done their own show, but I don't know, maybe it's just because they just, I don't know, Sony's always present at the Game Awards. The Game Awards gets a lot of viewers. I think the Game Awards got like 118 million viewers last year. You think Jeff paid them? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that works. I mean, yeah, that's the thing that I'm kind of considering, is the Game Awards gets insane viewership, dude. Like 118 million viewers is nuts. Like, that's actually nuts. So I could kind of see how that's extremely enticing to a lot of video game publishers, including Sony, where it's like, we want all eyes. But, you know, maybe it will be a little bit more disappointing than I realize. Maybe I am getting myself overly excited. I'm getting overhyped, but I'm going to allow myself. I've spent the whole year trying to have modest expectations, lower expectations. Spent the whole year. So I'm just going to allow myself this one time to just give in to the hype, let it consume me, let it take over, and I will hope that it delivers, man. I mean, it would be amazing if we walk away tomorrow. Like, all right, like the best case scenario. Let's talk best case scenario, worst case scenario. Best case scenario tomorrow, Sony fucking blows everybody away. Best case is we go into 2025 with an unbelievable amount of hype because Sony did the thing. They did the thing that we have been waiting for them to do. They decided to do it at the Game Awards, and they dropped some bombs. That's the best case scenario. Worst case scenario, they have a smaller showing and they don't actually drop any bombs. But worst case scenario, Sony announces Days Gone Remastered and Helldivers Controller, and maybe we see fair games. Yeah, like, I think that would be worst case. And to be fair, though, like, that's still a presence. You know what I mean? Like, they're still showing stuff, just not what we thought. But man, I fucking hope Sony drops the hammer tomorrow, bro. I hope they do. I mean, I feel like we've been waiting for like a showcase and shit, and the showcase just hasn't happened. People are wondering, like, dude, where are these new games they're working on? I just hope they fucking drop the hammer tomorrow. I hope they bring it down. And I would love for them to end it on such a high note. Could they show up with Ben's game? They could. Yeah, they could. I think they could. they'll show at least one big thing. Somebody on Reset Era on the PlayStation thread said, if it wasn't in the early morning for me, I would do the same, debating if I should stay up or not. Shinobi simply replied, I would. Somebody leaked that we're going to see 2 new Chinese games. I think that makes sense. It's going to be a lot of Chinese viewership this year, I think, for Black Myth Wukong. Don't forget, Sony revealed both The Last of Us and Uncharted 3 at the Game Awards. I didn't know that they revealed Uncharted 3 at the Game Awards. That I actually did not know. I knew about The Last of Us, but that's even more interesting. So Naughty Dog has a history. I didn't realize it was deeper than The Last of Us. Let's see. What if they bring factions back? Dude, that would be so funny. The Game Awards didn't exist when Uncharted 3 came out. I think he means Uncharted 4. Wasn't Lost Legacy announced at the Game Awards? Let me check. Actually, no. Apparently, Lost Legacy was announced in December, but at PlayStation Experience. So I can't blame you for getting those mixed up because it was happening at the same time as the Game Awards. Where was Uncharted 4 announced? Uncharted 4 was Sony's E3 2014. I can't seem to find where Uncharted 3 was announced. Because before the Game Awards, wasn't it like the Spike Video Game Awards or something? The infamous Uncharted 4 demo was at the Game Awards when the controller didn't work. The Spike Video Game Awards back in 2011, I think. That sounds right to me. I think you're right about that. MBG, the FBI director, just resigned. That's sus. Dude, everything's sus these days. Everything's weird. And I'm like, they're losing me. I just don't care anymore. I don't even care what's going on. Everything's fucking weird. It's like UFOs everywhere now. I saw Luigi's Mansion trending, and apparently it was trending because of that guy that assassinated the other guy. Dude, I don't even. It's like I literally don't know what's going on. I don't even care to know what's going on. Like, it doesn't matter. We know these drones. Yeah, people are saying they're drones, but then they're like, no, they're actually UFOs, they're aliens, and I'm just like, okay. So, like, do I still have to pay my bills? You know what I mean? Like, you get what I'm saying? This is why I just don't care about any of this shit, because it's just like, so what does that mean for me? Nothing. You just, not like, actually nothing. Oh, okay. It's super interesting. Never been more entertained. I mean, yeah, I will admit it. If you're going into it for the entertainment value, That's probably why the aliens are here, bro. They're just watching. They want some front row seats. Like, yo, you see this shit that's going down on Earth? It's a real shit show down there. Reality TV, man. People trying to avoid accountability. Can't be fired if you quit. People trying to avoid accountability. Gee. Isn't that just the truth? The sad truth. Aliens use us as their TV. Best reality TV this side of the solar system. That's so funny to think, dude. They want to disable the nukes. Yeah, they're like, bro, they're about to put our favorite channel off air. We got to stop it from happening. MBG, did you see what's going on with the Hawk Tour girl? I did. And dude, it's just like, dude, I mean, is anybody surprised? I love that, though. Like, I love the idea that you get super famous, like super famous. You get famous from just being part of a street side interview and talking about, well, you know, and from that moment forward, it's like you just like it. I'll be honest, man. I'll be honest. It's like you hear the saying, you've heard it so many times in your life, but it really is like, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? I am. No. But really, it's like, I've never seen a more who do you think you are moment, I think, than this, where it's like, what are you doing here? Like, your 15 minutes was up like an hour ago. What are we doing here? Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. People, it's 2024. People are weird. People are weirder than ever. I think human beings have always been very weird. But I think what makes people weirder than ever now is we're supposed to be more intellectual than ever, more intelligent than ever, but yet we are stranger than ever because of that. Like, you look back in human history, and you can there's definitely weirder shit that was going down in the past, but you can kind of like be like, well, they were stupid. They didn't know anything. You can kind of say that stuff, you know what I mean? But like, now we don't really have that excuse. So it's just, oh wow, no, this is just blatant stupidity and weirdness, like, for the sake of it, seemingly. But MBG be trying to get a side street interview. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Who's that quote from? Is that a Max Payne quote? Or am I imagining that's a Max Payne quote? It's a good quote, though. Look at really old books, look at writing and how much smarter they were. Actually, yeah, maybe I have it backwards. You're right. Shadowlink says, MBG, we aren't more intelligent than ever. We just have more access to information than ever. It almost does feel like having access to all this information is making us kind of stupid. So I was right. It was Max Payne. Okay. I'm glad I remembered that. I was like, yes. Max Payne. I mean, I highly doubt that's where it came from, but I don't know why. Like, Max Payne just popped in my head. That phrase has been around as long as I remember. I love Max Payne, dude. I'm so sad that the actor James McCaffrey, I think his name was, that he passed away. I think he passed away this year. Man, iconic voice of Max Payne, dude. And obviously, we have the Max Payne remakes coming, and I'm assuming they had no choice but to recast. So it's going to be sad that he's not going to be part of that, seemingly, unless they use the previously, the original recordings. They could do that, but But what an iconic voice actor, man. It's going to be sad to hear new Max Payne. There also wasn't a bunch of bald men everywhere back in the day. Capona, what are you trying to say, bro? What are you trying to say? I'm pretty sure you're wrong about that. I'm pretty sure there have been bald men all over the place all throughout history. Sometimes I just love seeing Capono in the chat randomly. He's just providing his own layer of commentary, just spontaneously. He's just, he's just chilling there, providing his own commentary over the stream. I bet you Capono is bald. How much Hawk Tua coin did you buy? Too much. Guys, I need more donations. I lost all my money. I'm ashamed. I've brought great shame to myself. MBG, did you hear about the girl who made $42 million from OnlyFans and one guy gave her $4 million? Oh my God. Sheesh. $4 million. Who are these people? Somebody want to give me $4 million? All right. How about just $1 million? Please, God, tell me it's money laundering. Platinum level simping. Yeah, that dude earned his platinum. I don't know. Yeah, I never understood that, to be honest. I never understood the idea of like, I mean, I guess if you're like rich, right? Where just like money's not a problem, I guess I could kind of understand where like to you it's just more of a game and an interaction, but I don't know, man. I just can't imagine like, I mean, it's like fine to donate and stuff and support people, but people like $4 million? $4 million, bro? God damn. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money, man. MBGC, that's a great example of not being smart. Who in their right mind would give a random pretty girl money to see them naked? What a waste. Well, I mean, like, I understand, like, the concept of, like, sure, like, if you want to pay for that, I mean, if men have been paying for that forever, right? I mean, women do too. But it's just like $4 million. That's the thing that gets me, like these insane amounts of money where it's like, that's yeah, I don't know, man. I wouldn't even know what to do with $4 million, but too bad you think that. I was just about to do a $5 million super chat just to beat that guy. Well, next time. Damn. See, Smurf, that's why I'm saying there has to be something else to it. Because you're absolutely right about that. You're right. Like with that, when you're talking about that kind of money, you're right. So there's a deeper psychological layer to it than what we see on the surface. What's the first thing I would do if I get $4 million? Pay off any debt I have. Probably buy a new home. And then I'd probably start buying the rarest PlayStation shit I could find. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that. I'd try to make some investments, I guess. Not that I'm familiar with that. I've never really dabbled in that, but I would try to figure something out, Try not to lose it. I try not to spend it all and lose it. That's what I would try to do. I would want to secure myself, secure my family. But MRPD 50 bomb for me is better than 4 million cash anyways. I'm waiting for that 50 bomb, MRPD. I'll be waiting for it. Nothing sends off the dopamine like a 50 bomb. I'm like, Ric Flair, woo! MBG wouldn't even buy rare MGS collectibles. Probably not. Probably not. Not at first, anyway. Maybe if I got more comfortable. If I got relaxed and more comfortable and I felt... Because, like, the thing is, I feel like if you were to get, like, $4 million right now, you kind of feel like, holy shit, I'm rich. But you're really not. I mean, you're wealthy. You just got wealth. But that $4 million can go a lot quicker than you would want to believe. And so, like, honestly, if I just, like, open my bank account and it's like, you just won $3 or $4 million, I would work very hard to make sure that I would try to grow that, or at the very least save it, and not lose it. Because you could, I mean, it is $1 million, dude, bro. Who am I kidding? Like, $1 million, I would fucking love to have $1 million right now. That's a lot of fucking money. I feel like you would have to go a little bit out of your way to blow $1 million. I mean, it just depends on where you look, where you're looking to spend. But yeah, you could. I would love to have $1 million right now. Who wouldn't? But it's just the idea that, like, you hear about these. I think it's, like, pretty common with, like, musicians or sports stars, where, like, they sign these insane contracts and they become multimillionaires, and then, like, a couple years later they're, like, broke. It's very easy. Like, if you're really bad with money, if somebody's not good with money and then they but they obtain a lot of money, it's very easy to part with that money quickly. Trust me, it's very easy. There's many opportunities. It's all relative. That's true. Well, everybody would like more money, right? But who knows what's going to happen, man. Start my own gaming studio. If I became rich, I'd still be paranoid of going broke. I guess it depends on how rich we're talking, right? I mean, if you become, like, a billionaire, man, I don't even know what I would do. If I was, like, a billionaire, I literally wouldn't know what to do. I would know what to do at first. But then when I do everything I want to do, I'd be like, so what do I do now? I'd probably just game. I mean, a couple things I would do. I would build a studio. Not a game studio. I'd build a music studio, bro. If I was like if I had just endless money, billionaire, I don't know that I would live in a mansion. That's overkill. I don't know. I'd have to really think about that. I've always had this kind of feeling of, like, I know when you have the money, it's like, why not? Why not live in a mansion? But when I've seen these mansions, I've seen the way people live, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I could be wrong. Maybe it's easy for me to say this because I don't have it and I don't have that money. But I think at some point I would feel like, man, is this too much? Like, do I really need this? All this, I got, like, empty rooms I don't even know what to do with. I think I'd start to feel a little bad. I'd feel like, I don't know. This feels kind of wasteful in a way, or just decadent, But one of the things I absolutely would want is I would like to build a proper music studio, like, fully decked out, with the best drum kit. And I don't know, I'd just be like, yo, come make music with me. Come jam. And I would do that. I'd probably spend half my day doing that. Gaming, that's what I would do. If I was rich, I would play video games and I would jam and work out. And probably still stream. That's like, honestly, that to me, that's the dream right there. That's the dream. Daily dose of gaming, drumming, and training. And I'm sure I'd find something else to do. Do I like to travel? Actually, no, I don't. I don't like going anywhere ever for any reason whatsoever. I don't know why. Not taking your wife on a holiday. Well, see, that's the thing. Like, I would definitely, I would like ask my wife, like, hey, what do you want to do? Because we could do it, you know? But it's, yeah, now that you mention it, she would probably want to go place, at least a couple places. I'm just not like, I don't know. I'm not like that. I'm like a cave dweller, bro. Like, I don't want to go places, really. Maybe that'll change when I get older. I'm not sure, but I'm more of a homebody. But yeah, I could see Mrs. MBG. She would probably want to do a couple things. And you know what, dude? Here's the thing, though. If you're fucking, maybe it's because I'm not rich. Maybe when you're rich, traveling is just different, right? You could just go where you want, do what you want. Like, you don't have to. It's not stressful. You know, it's like you just do what you want. Spend it all on baby oil. Yeah. Oh my god, bro. Oh my god. Traveling is peak when rich. Guys, come on. You got to make me rich here. All this talk about being rich, it's making me want to be rich. So if you could just, if everybody here could just start dropping 50 bombs, you know, that'd be great. Imagine a private jet. See, that's the thing. Like, that sounds awesome, but dude, I'm telling you, maybe I'm a weirdo, but I would feel like, I don't deserve this, bro. Like I'm not special. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be like, why do I need a private jet for me? Why? Why do I need that? Like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm a weirdo, but I would genuinely feel like I don't need, like, that's too much. That's too much. But again, it's one of those things where if I actually woke up tomorrow and there was a private jet and I was in a mansion and I could just get on that jet and go anywhere I want and do anything I want, my entire tune might change, where I'm like, this is fucking awesome, bro. I'm like a god. I could do whatever I want. Freedom, you know? I imagine that's kind of, it's probably intoxicating, you know? I would have to assume living a luxurious lifestyle like that, it's probably very intoxicating. But especially if you get used to it. That's the craziest thing. Like, really rich and wealthy people, they get so used to it that, dude, the idea of like not having it is like difficult for them to imagine, and that to me, that's the shit that's scary. Now, don't become cocky. Add a nuclear bunker to that list. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if we're talking like I'm mega rich, I'd probably have something like that built. But I also would have to contemplate, do I want to exist in a post-nuclear world? Do I really want to exist in that? Shadowlink, you're saying MBG, it's because you understand the value of a dollar, are practical, and don't want to be wasteful. That's smart. Many rich people don't do that stuff. I've met some. Yeah, I mean, I try not to judge people, but I can't help it where it's like, I don't know. I'm not saying I've been the smartest person with money. Definitely not. I've made mistakes and probably today still do make some mistakes. Um, but I don't know. I've come across so many of these things where it's like, and it's a very like popular category on YouTube about like making money and the hustle and all that stuff. And I don't know what it is, but like when I tune into that stuff, and I see like people, and there's nothing wrong with this. Again, I'm not trying to judge anybody, but it's just, I'm talking how it makes me feel. People who kind of have this mindset of like, it's all about just kind of focusing on increasing your value and like your monetary value. I totally understand like why, because we need that, right? Like, we don't get to decide the system that we're born into and have to be a part of. Like, I didn't get to decide, or neither did you, that, well, you need to make money in order to make a living, in order to survive and not live on the street or have to basically live in the fucking woods and hunt your food. You know what I mean? Like, and become totally self-sufficient on your own. Or in extreme cases, die, right? Like, we don't get to choose to be born into this. But every time we I come across stuff like this, it starts to make me hyper aware of the materialism. You know what I mean? Like, it makes me hyper aware of my own materialistic desires and existence, in the sense that as I get more involved in this system that I didn't choose to be part of, but am part of nonetheless, I inherently also become more materialistic. And the reason why I become more materialistic is because, well, I mean, it kind of, I would say at this point gets complicated because it's like, what was your upbringing like? You know, did you struggle growing up? Did your family struggle? Did you have very little? Were you comfortable growing up? Did you have a lot? Did you have enough? Did you, because it's different for everybody. I think people who grow up and have very little, um, not all the time, but in a lot of cases, have a better kind of, I would say, an easier time not getting overly attached to like materialistic stuff because it's not, it just wasn't really there for you during your formative years. But at the same time, though, we have heard those stories of people where like they struggle in childhood and growing up and they don't have anything, but they they get lucky or they make it or they have a talent or a skill and then they get famous and then it's like suddenly now they're just surrounded by it and it just does become part of their life. So I don't know. I don't even know what I'm going on about right now. This is basically a bit of a, I don't know. We've entered the philosophical section, but Steven, you're saying you did not have anything growing up. I have everything I want. I see that all I have is just things, no attachment to this. Yeah, I mean, dude, that honestly, Steven, like that's what I struggle with because it's like every day it's how attached am I? How attached should I be? And what I find is that if I got to be careful because I can't go completely detach mode. Like I can't be like a monk, right? Where it's like none of this matters. Like this is all just an illusion and it's all meant to just distract from enlightenment and spirituality. I couldn't do that because I don't know. I enter like a weird place where I'm it's because I lean more towards the negative side. I start to become like nihilistic. Like, is there a point to life? Is there a point to anything? And I start kind of like asking these heavy questions that have no answers. And I'm like, okay, I don't really like being in that place. So what I've basically determined is I need a little bit of attachment, like appropriate attachment, functional attachment, I would say is actually what I deem it, where it's like I need to have certain things in place to help me function as a person, to be a better person, and to continue to take steps forward. Even though I don't know where it all leads, I need to have things in front of me that feel like this is meaningful to me. This there is a purpose to this. And sometimes, on occasion, that does come in the form of physical or more material things. But I try to be aware of like there is a separation here where like if you're motivating yourself to do something that is geared because like we talk about gaming, right? Like gaming to me, there are like two components to it. It's like there is a deeper layer where it's like we talk about creatives pouring their passion and their they have stories they want to tell and there's like this deeper layer, this deeper human layer to the medium of video games. But then there's also the consumer side of video games, which I'm definitely involved with. It's like, yeah, I want to buy some physical games and collect them and I want to get the PlayStation hardware and what are the latest and greatest TVs and stuff like that. And then I think a lot of you can relate to that, but I also like I always try to understand that like those things are not the essence of what draws me to this medium that we call video games. Dale, dude, Dale comes in. He's like, MBG, did I just read Bend is making SOCOM? Holy balls of extras. Yeah. Um, it's not SOCOM, apparently. They're making a third person shooter, bro. But it's not SOCOM. It's a military third person shooter. It seems like it might be a kind of spiritual successor. Maybe. We still don't know, but that is all we know. That's interesting. Planet Schlurping, you're saying my parents claim they couldn't afford a PS3 in 2010. but bought a number of electronics that year. My parents hated the idea of me gaming growing up for some reason. I mean, I think a lot of parents, you know, I don't know how common it is today. I think it's different today, but during like the PS3 era and even before that, I think a lot of parents had this negative outlook of gaming where it's like it's going to rot your brain. But imagine if they could see like, I mean, I know it sounds crazy, man, but I think these days parents probably have the outlook of like, dude, this could be a future career for my kid. You know what I mean? Like this, like honestly, we've seen that fully realized, where it turns out all those video games I played actually worked out for me and was a good thing. You know what I mean? It's and to be fair, a lot of parents could have never predicted that. A lot of us could have predicted that. Okay, you're saying I find people who didn't grow up in wealth have a very skewed and negative perception of those who did, and doesn't reflect my experience at all. Yeah, if there's one thing that I think is true is that there does seem to be a lot of like, I would say, like a lot of preconceived notions where it's like if you are wealthy or if you grew up with wealth, then you're clearly a shallow person or whatever, or you lack character, and it's like that's not true. Like that's just definitely not true. There are for sure people who grew up in wealthy environments but have great character and have great values and are not shallow at all, you know? I think it just always comes down to your upbringing, the way your parents raised you, the way your family raised you, because sometimes it's not always just your parents, but your grandparents and, your aunts and your uncles, and just how people impact your life, where it's like, I think that at the end of the day, that's the great equalizer, where that's going to determine how a person turns out, right? Obviously the person has to make their own decisions, but if there's like a family and they're extremely rich and wealthy, but they're extremely involved in their kids' lives, and they like basically teach them that, and they discipline them, right? To where it's like, I'm not just going to put the silver spoon in your mouth, you know what I mean? And just give you everything you want and spoil you and make it seem like the world is your oyster. Cause that shit does happen. And I think that does, if you do it to the extreme, it'll mess people up, where like they will grow up and as adults, they will have no concept of like, bro, that shit, uh, you know, like they have just no concept of struggle at all. And to be honest, I think human beings crave that. I think humans crave a little bit of stress, a little bit of struggle, because it goes back, I think, to evolution. I mean, I think that's what it all kind of goes back to, but we need to have some struggle. And a lot of times people who don't have the appropriate struggle to bring the best out of themselves, they will actually go out of their way to try to create an environment in their life, no matter how well off they are, to evoke that potentially out of them, which is super fascinating when it comes to human psychology. Steven, you're saying I do things for my family. I blame myself for everything, like all the men in my family. I can't say that word on YouTube, but is part of men in my family's life. I think we take our role too hard. Blame is a scary thing. No, Steven, actually, I totally, I hear you, man. I know exactly what you're talking about. I would say I come from a similar place. Uh, I mean, I'm just speaking from the perspective of a man, a father, a husband, but like, yeah, it's kind of funny because I'm 31 now, but I see photos of myself sometimes when I was like 21 or 23. And I definitely remember what was going on in my mind at that time and what I was thinking about. And one of the things I do recall thinking when I was in my early 20s is, this is it. Like, I understand the full experience. This is what it is to be an adult. And it's like, well, yeah, you are an adult and you have a lot of experience, but you definitely aren't there yet. Like, trust me. Like now looking back at myself, it's like, no, you don't know. You don't know it all yet. And you haven't felt it all yet. And I'm 31 now. I do wonder if when I'm 41, if I'm going to look back and be like, oh, wow, I really thought at 31 I actually knew. You know what I mean? It's just kind of this cycle. And part of what I'm talking about here is kind of what you're talking about, Stephen, where it's like the burden. If you want to call, I mean, it is a burden. I feel like no matter which way you slice it, it is a burden. But it's like the burden of waking up and feeling like the world is on your shoulders. And even though we know it's not, the world isn't on your shoulders, but it's just you have to get up, and especially if there are people relying on you, or people, if you're, again in my case, the role of being a husband or father, protector, there's just these layers that start to build up on top of one another, and they require an immense amount of focus and effort and care. And I think if you don't see it that way and treat it with the type of respect it needs in order to thrive, and actually to allow things to flow as smoothly as they can in your life, it can be a very bumpy road, and it can be a painful one. And so, it's, I guess what I chalk it up to, it is part of the human experience. It is part of getting older. It is part of the lived experience, well, I mean, I guess we are living, so we are experiencing, but just the experience itself. I've learned a wise man knows how much he doesn't know. There you go. I like that one. That's a good one. MBG's trying to master his mind. Yeah, I'm trying, dude. Saying Mostar, look at the stars, kids. My son is everything, but I installed it in him. It can all go away, even though I have all I want, but I can survive on beans and rice. I've been on food stamps. Yeah, that's another thing too, right? Like when you go through hard times, you want to, when you have kids, naturally you want to kind of, you want them to have a better childhood and a better experience than you did growing up. I think it's very normal. The bad apples stick out, but some of us grow up learning to be and do good and not make a spectacle of it. Yeah, dude, there's like this philosophy that I've had for a little while now, and I forget about it sometimes, but I try to remind myself. And I'm trying to remember, it was like this, the way I worded it, where it's like the true good deeds. To do good is to be unseen and go unnoticed. Something along those lines, where it's like essentially, if you're gonna do the right thing, if you're gonna be the best person that you can be, you have to do so knowing that there's a very, very high likelihood that you're not going to get the recognition that maybe you would expect. For some people, they do. I would say that there's a little bit of luck involved there. We do see these people where they rise up and it's like they are doing the right thing. They are doing good, and they're actually truly noble people, and they're getting the recognition they deserve. But it is rare. And unfortunately, we talk about society today. We talk about 2024. We talk about social media. A lot of bullshit is what gets the attention. It's more enticing than ever, I think, for people to just bullshit and be assholes or be clowns. And there's different degrees of it. Some of it's a lot worse than others. Cypherpunk, you're saying people these days are soft. Nobody works anymore. I mean, that's an interesting assessment, because like I notice as I've gotten older, I've struggled with this idea of like, what does it mean to be tough? What does it mean to, to be a snowflake or whatever? Like or to be soft. And what I've determined is that the number one thing is to respect the fact, and I do believe this is a fact of life, that no situation or no one way of doing things will work all the time. right? Like if you approach every single thing in your life with, let's just say, aggression, or if not aggression, um, a kind of hard-nosed attitude, it's not always going to work, because you're going to encounter unique situations that require a different approach from you. And I mean, when you talk about work, I mean, there's certainly truth to that, where like there are people who just, it's like they don't, there are definitely people, I would say, that have gone astray, and we see that. I see that highlighted on social media, where it's like there's always arguments on like what's considered work, what's considered not. I try to look at it from the baseline of like, to be alive is hard, right? To be alive is hard. To do the right things for yourself and for the people around you while being alive is even harder and requires a lot of discipline. Um and I guess, I don't know, I've just, without getting too deep into it, the longer I'm alive, the more I realize there are a lot of difficulties that can be encountered in life. And as I've experienced some of my own, I notice that I'm a little bit more, if not sympathetic, just simply understanding that I'm going to try not to focus on judging people too much, because I'm not walking in their shoes. I'm not. It doesn't mean that I don't see people or see things where I'm like, that's just fucking wrong, or that's just evil or vile. There are certain things that are obviously like very clearly in the black. But when it comes to the things that people tend to argue about the most these days, where people really just go at it, it's like maybe neither of you are necessarily right. And there's really not much of a point in arguing this much about it, because it's just kind of gotten to a point where some people are going to think one way, people are going to think the other, and no amount of arguing is going to change that. So just try to be as not sociable, but try not to fucking piss in each other's Cheerios, you know? Like, I think that's about it. I think that's really what it comes down to. I think it's every person's responsibility to find what 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 will work best for them, you know? And the human experience, it's a complex thing, man. No doubt about it. The more I think about, like, the longer I think about it, and the deeper I dig, it's like it definitely gets overwhelming to a point where it's like, man, I can't keep up with everything that's out here. MBG, everything takes some amount of work. Some people find it easier than other people. We all have strengths and weaknesses. Yeah, I that's a good way to put it. I think it's a really good way to put it. Where, like, I think a really important thing in life is to find what your strengths and weaknesses are. And when you identify what your strengths are, try to leverage them, because they can help you in your life. And if you're playing to your strengths, they can probably help people around you. But also be aware of your weaknesses. And I do believe in working on your weaknesses. And I think that for a lot of people, it comes down to, I have weaknesses, but I feel like I can't do anything about them. I would say, if you're at that point where it's like, I have a certain weakness and I feel like I've kind of succumbed to it, it's there, it's never going away. At the very least, you have to put in the minimum amount of work to make sure it doesn't get worse. You have to at least try to do that, you know? Because once those weaknesses start to get worse and start to take over your life, I think that's when people start spiraling. And it can, that's when a molehill turns into a mountain. Cyberpunk, you're saying, if I got to work 2 jobs to support my family, no problem. That's a great attitude to have, man. You know, that's very respectable, like, genuinely. And I think that's what's tough, man. Is, we if there's one thing that being on social media and being on Twitter reveals to me, is that, man, there are a lot of things that people do every day, a lot of ways that people operate, that it's just like, onlookers, when they see it, they're like, what the fuck? And sometimes I see that shit myself too, where it's like you hear about people who are just, they're, I don't know. I mean, I have a very cynical outlook on it, but maybe if we're trying to be a little bit more optimistic, a little bit more positive, not so cynical, maybe we just say they're misguided. But I think we all know that sometimes you just got to get up, look at yourself in the mirror and say, you know what? Today, I do what I do for me, not in a selfish way, actually the opposite, but because I expect better from myself. And you fucking get your boots on and you get the work done. And I think that that's something that I think every person needs to experience, because as much as you're doing what you're doing for somebody else, you're doing it for yourself too, in the necessary way. Like, I need to be able to bring the best out of myself, because no one else is going to do it for you. Man, how the hell did we get on this conversation? How long I'm over 3 hours streaming. You guys got me. I got myself going into I don't know, I guess we're in philosophical territory now. But what happened to gaming, bro? I mean, I don't know. That's where, dude, listen, man, when we talk about video games, it's interesting. When we talk about video games, when we talk about work, I mean, how many times have you encountered people in your life where they're like, video games are a waste of time? Right? And I've thought about this. I mean, video games can be very deep, dude. Like, even just the thought of the act of playing video games can be very deep, in that, like, well, so let's see. We're on planet Earth. We have video games, which are a form of entertainment and engagement, right? That we can partake in. Being on planet Earth as a human being, we know our time is limited. It is finite. We don't know how much time we have. We just know that it's finite. So the only choice we really have is how we're going to spend that time. So it is pretty profound. And of course, nobody really thinks of it this way, but it is pretty profound if you're somebody who games a lot, and I game a lot, I've dumped a lot of time of my life into playing video games. I think it's just interesting to kind of reflect on that and ask yourself, like, why did I do that? Really, why did I do that? Why do I continue to do that? And this is where it kind of gets back to that whole idea of, like, the value we put onto things, like what things mean to us on an individual level, where, like, I don't know, it for me, I can honestly say that not every single hour of gameplay, I'm not going to lie to myself and say it's all been super meaningful. No. But I can say it's all served its purpose. Like, and that's what I mean when it comes to functional. What did I call it? I can't remember what I called it. Save some energy for tomorrow. I know. I guess I'm just saying, like, video games have never felt like a waste to me because of the passion that they evoke out of me, and that's always what has drawn me to gaming, and that's why I find myself where I am now, where, like, I have a YouTube channel and I talk about gaming, and I spend hours a day, a lot of times, talking to you guys, other people who enjoy video games, talking about it, because it's never felt pointless to me because of what it has evoked out of me. And not many other things in life have evoked those type of feelings and emotions. And I guess truly what it comes down to is the value for me lies within those feelings and those emotions. And that's all it really, that's what it comes down to. There doesn't need to be any more explanation for me beyond that. Because if you think about the point of life is to live it and to feel and to emote. That's the point. Right? And that's exactly what video games have done for me. Now, I'm not saying all those emotions were good, but, Last of Us Part 2. Steven's like, I got to feed the goats and the chicken. I have goats named Billy. He's screaming. Yeah, I'm probably going to wrap up with it. That's so funny, dude. You have a goat named Billy and he's screaming. That's how you know I've been streaming for too long. When Steven's goat is screaming, that's why I know it's time to wrap it up. We shouldn't have to explain ourselves. I hate being asked what my plans are in life when I just view it as an open-ended project. Yeah, I totally hear you, man. That's the way my life has been, mostly. We're like, don't fight. Don't fight. Come on, guys. You're ruining the vibe. That's how it's been for me, too, where it's like, we've all, I think, found ourselves in those situations where it's like you feel like you're going to be under like scrutiny or whatever, or like you have to. I just like, I don't know, earlier, if there's one thing I feel like I definitely did right in my life, I have my own regrets, but one thing I do feel like I genuinely did right is early on in my life, I was just like, I don't give a shit what people think. Like, no matter how close they are to me or how far away from me they are, like, and it's not in the sense of like, I don't consider their feelings, but it's just like, with some things, right? I don't really care what people think because I believe in how I feel. And that is something that I'm okay if people don't understand that or accept that. You know? And I determined that a long time ago. And that's served me very well. But you know, it can have its own set of problems just like anything else. But okay, you're saying growing up some families couldn't imagine even having a TV in their estate, but others had arcades. So a balance. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess the universe is indifferent to our man-made concepts. With all that being said, it sounds like the Game Awards is gonna be fucking hyped tomorrow, guys. I'm gonna go into the Game Awards with the biggest existential crisis. Like, why am I even here, man? What even is this? Now, that was a good conversation. I think it flowed pretty well. For 2 hours, we basically covered all the gaming stuff. For the last hour, we basically talked life, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed these conversations. Can't wait for those Game Pass ads. Let's do it. Hell yeah. The older I get, the better it feels to not give an F. Being almost 30 and on the spectrum, I'm simply immune to peer pressure at this point. Yeah, man. At the end of the day, I think what everybody eventually realizes is nobody really cares. Like, as long as you're not going out of your way to hurt people or yourself, you know? And I would say most of the time, most people are not doing that. Nobody really cares, you know? Like, I think we get in our own heads where, like, we think people care. We think it matters so much, but it's like, it really doesn't. So you just shouldn't really worry about it that much. But all right, man. It's time to end this thing. I think this is a good place to wrap it up because if not, I will go on for another 2 hours, and I do have to save some. I got to leave some in the tank for tomorrow. So what time is the stream tomorrow? I'm shooting. It might change, but right now I'm shooting for 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Okay, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. It's a solid 2 hours for us to hang out and hype up the Game Awards before the show starts. So plenty of time, and yeah. So I'm looking forward to it, guys. But that's gonna wrap up today's stream. I do hope you enjoyed it. I want to just, before I head out, give everybody a thank you. Get some chips. Yeah, I might have to get some snacks. Before I go, Shadowlink says, I'm the same. Peer pressure stopped working on me at around 15, and I'm 37 now. Good night, MBG. Hope you and your family have a lovely night. Well, same to you, Shadowlink. Thank you for tuning in and interacting. Hellbound, thank you for the member gifts. And to everybody else, really appreciate all the direct support. We got a lot of member gifts today, which is great. Solid amount of super chats. So thank you so much for allowing me to continue to do this and for hanging out with me. So, guys, please enjoy the rest of your day. I probably won't have a video out tomorrow unless there's some kind of major breaking leak or something. Unless it's like super urgent, I'm probably not going to put a video out tomorrow. We'll just do the stream. So look out for that. And yeah. So, all right, that does it. Shout out to Devil Shooter as well for doing the timestamps. Thanks for what you do, Devil Shooter. If you guys see him in the comments, show him some love, give him some thanks. And that just about does it. The cats say thank you as well. All three of them are right next to me here. And Boss is being very grumpy for some reason. So, all right, I'll catch you guys tomorrow for the Game Awards. So until then, take care, everyone. You know, as soon as I end the stream, there's going to be some major leak or something, but it's all good.